Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmie. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us. We are extra excited today. Yeah. Of course, we have a crazy, this is like a kind of a 4th of July special.
Sure.
For in the United States, we have a lot of overseas listeners. Yeah. 4th of July is Independence Day and people shoot off fireworks and all sorts of shit like that. It's, it's like it's the summertime, so anywhere where it's cold out, it's the big summer holiday where it's the only one where they know it's going to be warm.
Right.
Like it's not going to be 36 degrees out. I know
for sure.
For sure. So we're going to barbecue something, even if it rains. It's a big deal. So we're going to do today pretty much the most American story you can muster. And we'll get to that in a minute. But first of all, thank you for your reviews this week.
Yeah.
Apple Podcasts, those purple icon, that thing there, that helps a lot. Give us 5 stars. We don't know why, but do it. It helps. So thank you for doing that if you have. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now for all of your merchandise needs, first of all, for Crime and Sports and Small Town Murder. If you don't listen to Small Town Murder, I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Where are you?
It's just the ones we've had lately it's the craziest run ever.
Yeah.
They're insane. You need to listen to this. I don't even know, the last 6 weeks or something. Just check them all out. It's absolute insanity. Check that out. And get your tickets to live shows all throughout 2022, the end of 2021 as well.
We're going to wrap this shit up big.
Oh, big time. We're coming through with this shit. Also, you need to check out our new shows on the Upside Down Digital Network. First of all, Game of Crimes that came out last week, obviously. But this week, Friday the 9th, Life After Happy Face.
Yeah.
We're super excited for this
Melissa,
show.
good for you.
We can't wait. Melissa and Dr. Laura Pember, too. The both of them, awesome. We can't say enough about this show. Put it that way. This is a show that when we were told about it, whether it was on our network or not, we just wanted to listen to it because it sounds so interesting. So check it out this Friday the 9th, everywhere you listen to podcasts, on the Upside Down Digital Network, definitely, and Patreon. You need to be a part of Patreon because this week the fun continues as usual. We had crazy stuff last week and it just rolls right in now. And patreon.com/crime and sports. First of all, for Crime and Sports we're going to do a history of drugs in sports. So a lot of people people think that's a modern problem, and it's not. For the Olympics, they started the anti-doping rules in 1929.
My Christ.
Which means that people were doing shit to cause rules to be made in 1929. You know what I'm saying? So this goes back so far, you have no idea. We're talking people in 1900 were injecting cocaine into themselves before races. So this is nothing new. We'll get into it. It'll be very funny to hear about old-timey drug use right up into the 70s. It'll be good shit. And then for the Small Town Murder bonus episode, which you also have access to because you have access to everything over at patreon.com/crime and sports, we're going to do the downfall of the Hillside Stranglers, 2 of the most horrific serial killers really we've had. These idiots work together, and the way it all came together, how they were busted, is absolutely insane with the hypnosis and faking multiple personalities. It's one of them literally almost walked away free.
Ridiculous.
They had him in custody and they were going to drop the charges against him. It's insane. You got to hear the whole story of the Hillside Strangler downfall because it's we always think of serial killers. They did all their shit, then they got caught and it's over.
Right.
That was only the beginning, and then it got even crazier. If you can imagine, killing 11 women or whatever is not being the craziest thing that happened. So Check that out, patreon.com/crimeinsports. And you'll be a producer, so you'll get a shout out at the end of the show. Jimmie will mispronounce your name horribly. He'll try, but it won't come out right. And we'll be ever so thankful. And if you just want to donate and be have great karma and be a producer and get your name mispronounced, you can do that at PayPal using our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com.
Let's go.
That said, let's get into it.
Great.
Let's do it. Can't wait. We have this, like we said, this is about the most American story we can do here. And this was the subject of our virtual live show.
Yeah.
And so it's been a couple of months, so we figure virtual live shows got pictures, so there's less information when we do those. So we figure it's a little more in depth, and no pictures, obviously, because it's audio. But we're doing Suge Knight, everybody.
Right.
Can't get much more famous than that.
Tremendous.
And he played football for a minute. Yeah. So there you go. It's an athlete. And you'll say our last episode was a football player, too. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, sure enough.
Yep. And we don't have an equal number of athletes and everything left.
It's not.
There's like 3 baseball players. Yeah. 15 football players, 20 boxers. It's all mixed up. So you might get, whatever. Who knows what you're going to get? You're going to get funny goddamn stories. Yeah. That's what you're going to get. So listen if you want to. If not, I don't care. Go fuck yourself. Let's do it. Marion Hugh Knight.
Damn right it is.
Marion Hugh Knight Jr.
Hugh.
Of course, Hugh.
Single Hugh.
Hugh.
Yeah.
Marion
Hughes.
Hugh.
Hugh.
Hugh. I've heard of old guys are named Hugh.
Yeah.
They're
usually 70 or so.
Oh, Hugh is a man who's been dead for 20 years. Yeah. That's what Hugh Downs.
Hugh. Yeah.
The guy on, one of those news shows, 2020 maybe, or some shit like that, 60 Minutes. Hugh Downs. The guy on Leave It to Beaver, Hugh Beaumont, who was, 40 years old in 1956. So I'm sure he's been dead for fucking
born in the teens.
He might have been. He might have been dead before we were born. Yeah. So there you go. This is what I'm talking about. Long time ago.
Terrific
guy who has memories of World War II and then was on television. So Marion Hugh Knight Jr.
Terrific.
Sounds like a very large, tough man, doesn't it? It really doesn't. He's born April 19th, 1965.
Yeah.
And he grows up in Compton, California, obviously.
Actual Compton.
Yeah, if you're not from here, if you've never heard rap music, that's...
How if you've missed Dre.
In L.A., and it's known as a tough area and shit like that. And he's not poor, though. Like, he's very middle class, stably middle class.
He's born to a family who names people Hugh
and Marion and things like that. So yeah, when he came in too, when his parents moved there, it was the early 60s, mid 60s. So Compton was still, it wasn't even all black yet. It was, and all, it wasn't all minority at that point, like in a minority neighborhood. It was just a mixed neighborhood of working class people. That's what it was considered at the time. So he, but 1969, obviously, that is when Suge is born, and they're in Compton. And Suge, they call Sugar Bear.
Yeah.
That's why his name is Suge Knight.
Okay.
Because Mom called him Sugar Bear because he was just so sweet.
Yeah.
So
only gangsters call me Suge.
This man, then
later in life, he let straight gangsters, call him Suge. Took his mom's nickname for his childhood sweetness and made that as like his gangster calling card. Like a southern waitress. I want gangsters to call me things that a southern waitress would call me.
Yeah. Honey doll. Honey doll and sweetheart. Sugar. Suge. Jesus Christ.
I guess it's a smidge better than Hummingbird, but whatever.
I mean, I've heard worse, but it's not the toughest name. Let's just say that. Especially when you know where it comes from. If you don't know where it comes from, who knows? Maybe it's because he had such big piles of cocaine it looked like sugar. It could be anything. You know what I mean? You'd put something tough on it, but you wouldn't just go, well, his mom said he was sweet as can be, so she called him Sugar Bear. Wow.
Hilarious.
Wow. By the time he becomes, he's coming of age here in the 70s. He's born in 65, so he's coming of age in the early 70s. It's when the kind of gang culture of the area really starts to become very, very prominent. Like, gangs were around before that, but this is when they started really
organizing.
Were much bigger and had a kind of more of a blanket effect on the area here. And little bit, Crip, Suge is a famous blood.
Yeah.
That's his, he's always talking about the Bloods. If you've seen him, he's always wearing giant red suits.
Which is fascinating.
It's crazy. Yeah. It really does. It looks like, and they're giant, like weird preacher suits that he wears. When he goes to like an outing back in the day, it looked like Steve Harvey just murdered somebody and then shaved his head to try to fucking change his appearance. And just soaked in blood. That's what it looks like.
What are the top 10 reasons I would want to murder you?
Suge would always have 10. Yeah. So to give a little history of the gang stuff here, just to kind of, just a little history on it. We always like to do shit like that.
Yeah.
The Crips were the first gang. Obviously, we're talking Bloods and Crips here. Now, there's a lot more gangs than that.
It expanded.
At the time, Bloods and Crips. And it was first it was the Crips. The Bloods are a branch off of the Crips.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The Bloods were a part of the Crips who got beat up by a bigger part of the Crips and were upset about it.
And
so they
started their own thing.
They started their own gang. And basically the Bloods started as pissed off Crip sects that they found all over the city that were like, so the Bloods
pissed off Crip sects. That sounds dirty.
Pissed off Crip sects.
That's right.
That's right. I'm going to wipe you off with a blue bandana afterwards. Yeah, Crip sex. Angry. So that's the Crips had areas. Like it was, this area gang and this area gang.
This street.
Yeah, the Bloods started out not with an area. They didn't have an area. They had just gangs in certain pockets.
Yeah.
So that had an advantage of being able to mobilize in different areas because they had people that knew different areas rather than just a bunch of people in one neighborhood. But, they were kind of spread out, which didn't help them a lot, basically.
Sure.
So that's how it ended up coming about. And the blue and red thing, Bloods just wore red because the Crips wore blue.
Just to be opposite.
That was it. Literally just the opposite. And anybody who's seen these documentaries knows to the extent of ridiculousness that the Bloods and Crips took the opposite.
Color,
not just the color, just the opposite of things, replacing letters and words with, replacing B's with C's and C's with B. Fucking ridiculous.
In language and everything.
Just too much.
Yeah.
That's exhausting.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight. All right, hold on a second. I got to hold down the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I got to, sell drugs and stuff because I'm not going to be working at the UPS store while I'm doing this. So I got to do all this shit.
Because then I'd have to wear brown.
Yeah, which isn't my color.
They don't allow me to wear red there.
No, it's fucked up. I guess I could work at, what is this? Once it gets to the 80s, I can work at Blockbuster Video. They have blue, but other than that, I'm in trouble.
And Bloods work at Target.
That's it. They work at Target, yeah.
Target and QT.
I got to do this, and then after that, I have to, carry a gun all the time, and I have to be worried that other people are going to shoot me for shit I didn't even do.
Right.
Just because someone else did other things, and then they're mad, so they drove by and shoot at my house because I'm outside. I have to worry about all this, and on top of that, it's just too much.
I got to rearrange the alphabet.
On top of all that, every time I speak, I have to be fucking worried about what letters are places and put it. It's just too stressful.
Any cognizant of B's? They are so prevalent, you guys.
It's so stressful. Think about that. That'd be more stressful than anything. More stress. Jesus Christ! Especially if you live in Compton and you're a Blood. Where are you from?
That's insane behavior.
Bompton. Fuck. Almost said the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So that'd be very, very. Jesus Christ. Very, very annoying. So this is where the original Pyrus came from, and the Pyrus they're kind of the first Blood gang.
Yeah.
That's Crips. That's Suge's Bloods here. They're the original ones who broke off from the Crips and all that. So they're of a rebellious nature, even for gang members. They're these guys are at the time the ones who started it out, which tend to look for people in their mold, and so you get they're particularly ruthless. They're known to be, and at the time they were smaller back in the day too, so they kind of had to be. That's the way it worked. So, but Suge, through all this, he didn't grow up in the gangs.
No.
You would imagine that he did, but he didn't.
He
was not even involved in that. He had a nice middle-class childhood. Suge's a big motherfucker, as we know. He's a big 6'4", 300-pound dude, 280 pounds in his prime back then before he was fatter. But he before he's drinking too much champagne, smoking too many cigars. Before that, though, so he had the out of like. You could get fucked with, or you could be in a gang, or you can be an athlete. Those are the three. Those are the three tiers.
It's your choices.
If you're an athlete, nobody.
Everybody likes you.
Yeah, nobody bothers you because you're doing a different thing. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like then you get almost like the like above the rim syndrome, where you get like the, don't fuck with that dude. He's playing ball type of thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas you hear about that a lot.
Yeah,
where guys were. Not like nobody would let them fuck up like because they were doing something.
Keep them on the right path.
Yeah.
What you doing? You want to be on the block selling rocks with me?
Yeah.
Or you want to go out there and play your game?
It's fucking weird. I can't remember.
Pierce figured it out.
Who the fuck? I just watched something on somebody that was just like that. Like they were trying to run the streets, and like drug dealers in the area were like, "Man, fuck you."
No.
They were like, "No, we ain't fucking with you." Yeah,
hilarious.
Yep, treated them like they were a pregnant woman and fucking Nino Brown with a pregnant woman. Just not happening. So, but he's got two parents.
Yeah.
They both work.
Yeah.
His dad, Marion Sr., is a janitor at UCLA.
Okay.
So he's got a good job with benefits. Yeah. Maxine works on an assembly line in an electronics factory.
Great.
But makes good money.
Yeah.
Does fine. Like they do well. They're, like I said, very stably middle class. And they're like... picture Ice Cube and Friday. You know what I mean? Like that seems to be the household, just a blue collar household, in a neighborhood where not everybody's having that experience.
Right.
So
they got ham and the burger though. They got everything. It's fine.
It's going well here. So he ends up being an athlete, like I said. So he letters in both football and track all 4 years of high school.
Unbelievable.
So he's a good athlete. Mm-hmm. He really is. And so he stays out of all that gang shit. Like he's not involved in that. He knows the guys. He goes to school with them, when he's younger and grows up with them, but he's not involved in any of that shit. He goes on a football scholarship to El Camino Community College.
Yeah.
Which, the dream.
Right.
It's a dream, really, for everybody when they're growing up, I think. Yeah, you play football as a young child, and you're like, someday, I'm going to play for El Camino Community College, and it's going to be something.
What a shitty old car.
I'm going to go to Toronado Community College. It's going to be wild.
I'm looking forward. I'm thinking about transferring to Ranchero, but I don't know yet.
I'm not positive. But Ranchero Community College it's a really good school.
It's good.
It's excellent. You should try it out, Jimmie. So he does well in El Camino.
Yeah.
So well that in 1985 he transfers to UNLV.
Okay.
So that's a big school.
Yeah, that's bigger.
More of a basketball school at the time.
Yeah.
But still a big school, and in another big city, getting out of home.
Yeah.
It's a big step for him.
Not too far from home.
Not too far. Yeah. Driving distance, a few hours in the car. He's 260 pounds at this point,
Jesus.
which I don't think he sees that again. Probably
Ever.
Yeah. I mean, he's maybe 3 years after he's dead, he'll be 260 again. But other than that, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. I haven't seen him a pound under 330 ever. So
even when he dies, he's going to get a little bigger before he gets smaller.
Yeah. I mean, his bones probably weigh 180. He's a big dude, and then he's going to keep a lot of girth on him for a while, I feel like. It's going to take longer to decompose, I feel like. There's just a lot in there.
It's not even just biological matter. It's just
I don't know
stuff.
what's in there.
It's just stuff.
It's like a shoe in there. I don't know what happened. A T-shirt I saw.
Things he just touches, he absorbs.
Some aluminum siding was in there. It's just things.
It's a door frame. He just absorbed it.
Super weird.
Yeah.
He goes to a fireworks show, comes home, just a bottle rocket he pulls out of there. He's like, what happened? What's going on here? Just doesn't know.
Just takes it all.
So he ends up being a starting defensive end at one point here. Mm-hmm. He ends up being voted UNLV's Rookie of the Year.
Awesome.
Which is fucking impressive.
Yeah.
That's not too shabby. I mean, that's respect of your teammates. Yeah. That's a team voted award. Right. And he ends up being elected defensive captain too the next year.
That's great.
So
that's a big deal.
He's a leader.
Yeah.
I mean, he always is a leader later on. For good or ill.
Yeah.
For good or ill, he leads. In what direction is another question. Right. I mean, but he's leading somewhere. So in '85, the UNLV LV Running Rebels are 5-5-1. Not spectacular in any.
No.
any aspect here. I looked at their roster. The only guy I could find that would really ring any bells is Icky Woods is on the team the entire time Suge is there.
That is wild.
So you might know Icky Woods either if you're older from the Bengals in the late 80s, early 90s, or if you've been alive the last 10 years, he's on commercials doing his Icky Woods dance. He's an older man wearing a Bengals uniform.
It's wild.
Rocking to one side, rocking to the other, and then like spiking down a loaf of bread.
Right.
That guy.
Woo!
Doing the Icky shuffle. Icky Woods knows Suge Knight. I mean, he knows him. They've seen each other's cocks 100 times.
They read the same playbook. That's crazy.
They could intimately describe each other's ball sacks. That's knowing someone, I feel like.
It's weird to be like, as a kid growing up with Suge's music, and not necessarily his music, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, Suge produced, not even produced. Suge
stuff that Suge was involved in.
His name's on the CD liner thing in 92. That's all we know.
But that guy knows somebody that was playing football before I, really was super involved in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Fucking Icky. He's his pal.
Yeah.
He could call him up. Icky.
Yeah. Ick.
Ick.
Hey, Ick. What up, Suge?
What up, Suge?
Ick and Suge.
Ick and Suge. Hi. Yes, no, we're two grown men.
Yeah.
How you doing? Ick and Suge. Nice to meet you.
Couldn't sound more opposite of each other.
No, and they did the same thing.
Yeah.
And then they had diverging paths, we'll say.
Wildly different paths.
Very different. Yeah. So in 86, the Runnin' Rebels are 6-5, and not too much better.
Picked up a win where they had a tie.
Yeah, there you go. Not too spectacular, nothing great. And he wins first team all-conference honors.
Oh,
so he's a
bigger award.
Yeah, it's for the whole conference. Mm-hmm. He's doing well. I mean, that conference isn't spectacular back then, let's be honest. But still, if you can only do as well as you can do,
right. And he's the best person at that position. That's right.
I love when there's like an undefeated college team and people talk shit about them. Well, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, they did all they could do.
Right.
Yeah, they weren't scheduled against Ohio State, but they weren't scheduled against them. They beat every team that was on their schedule.
So they had to play. They played them.
They played them.
Played them well.
I know colleges, they make their own non-conference schedule, but they beat all the goddamn conference teams they had to play. And you know what? No one fucking else is undefeated, so what are you talking shit for? It's impressive.
Right.
Shut up. I hate that all the time. Oh, they're undefeated, but so what? I mean, so what? That's hard.
What team did you play for that went undefeated?
That's what I'm saying. You have bad days. Everybody has fucking bad days. They didn't. So that's got to mean something.
Unless you're Nick Bonacotti, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. Shut up, Bob Greasy. Suck my dick. Eat shit, Mercury Morris. I'm not talking to you, Larry Zonka. Fuck off.
Listen, not that team. You ain't shit. Shut up.
No, nothing. God damn it. So they go there. This is the weird thing. This is the last time Suge is regarded by all at this point as a big, happy-go-lucky. I mean, you saw it. It's like a big Jerry curly afro.
It's a lot of hair.
It's like a loose fro.
It's unbelievable.
It's a happy man wears that hairstyle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's known as a big jokester, like a big guy with a big voice and a big joke and a
personality.
Big, hey, how you doing? Got along with everybody, and just like Suge's just the big happy-go-lucky guy. Like that's what he's known as, which I don't think he'll ever be known as that again. Everyone's like, well, he's a very frightening man. Back then, people go, hey, it's Suge.
There he is.
Hey, Suge.
They didn't even call him Suge yet. Still stuck with Sugar Bear.
Yeah, hey, Sugar Bear. He's so sweet. He's so sweet, Sugar Bear. He's a sweet man. So very friendly. Even known to not really indulge in drugs or alcohol. Doesn't even chase women that much.
No partying yet.
He parties a little, but he's literally known to go home early. You know what I mean? The party's raging. It's 12:30. He's like, I'm going to get out of here.
You guys are crazy.
There's practice in the morning. All right, see you guys later. He had a couple of drinks and, maybe felt a titty or two and made a couple of, circles around the room and that sort of thing.
Silently slunk out.
That's all. He said, all right, fellas, I got to get some rest. You know me. I hit the sack so I can have energy in the morning. The early bird gets the worm, and he takes off. Very strange thing at this point. And he starts, all he does is anytime he has extra time, he works. Actually, he's a bouncer at a club, he works there. The problem is I feel like maybe that led to other things. Because if you work at a bar or even at a restaurant, it doesn't even have to be at a bar.
Right.
Basically, everybody that works at bars and restaurants, in my experience, it's about 85%, do a lot of drugs and shit. It's just a thing.
And if they don't do them, they certainly know how to get them very easily.
When the restaurant I worked at, I was, I believe, the only person there who didn't do coke all the time. And I can't tell you the number of times everyone was like, "You want to do coke? You want to go do some lines?" I'm like, "No, I don't at all."
You don't know that this is insane.
No, I'm not doing that. But it's so common. It's just people who are up. They get off of work at midnight. No one else is awake. Yeah. They hang out with each other, and that's
I'm not going to sleep yet. I just got off work. I'm still rock starring right now.
You get home from work at 6 o'clock. Do you go right to bed, or do you need to unwind, eat dinner, watch TV, hang out, have a couple of drinks? That's what other people do. They get work in the middle of the night. They're not like, "Oh boy, let me get some sleep so I can get up and be with the rest of the population." I really need to see everybody. That's not what they do. So they're
on their own schedule.
Yeah, it's an insulated lifestyle, and you meet people who do things at night, especially
when they're out.
Yeah, and if you're a bouncer, like I was a bouncer for a couple of years, you meet everybody when you're everybody tries to get the bouncers on their side and they come talk to you, and it's a weird thing. You let people in. They want to feel, when they come, they want to feel welcomed in there. They don't want to have someone just go ID.
Right.
They want, "Hey, it's fucking Bill. He's the best. Who you got with you?" "A couple of those hot broads with Bill. He's the greatest." That's what they're looking for. Right. So, they all do that, and I feel like maybe that was part of what,
and it's easy
put
to
Suge in the wrong direction,
to influence that guy to be that guy for you. Oftentimes, that person is given all kinds of things between drugs or money, depending on which. And depends on what your proclivities are. You don't know anybody's proclivities till you ask.
Yeah,
and you got to offer coke to find out this guy doesn't do coke.
That's the thing. And depending on what kind of club it is, if it's a club that has VIP rooms and shit like that,
you've got those people.
Bouncers get money and blowjobs and drugs and all sorts of things like that to allow people. There's a whole separate economy going on in a nightclub that people, I don't know if everybody realizes, but it's definitely happening.
Other than the one where you trade drinks for pussy.
Yeah, that's the other one.
There's plenty of economies happening in there.
There's a lot of different sub-economies.
I was going to say finger out, which don't do that.
Finger it out? No, don't finger it out. But I'd love to send like a Harvard economist, somebody and just have him break down, or have her, or whatever the fuck it is. I want a chart of all the different,
what's being traded for what, where,
all the black markets that are happening in here, and all the different things. And you have this quadrant where this is going on. These people are doing this for drugs, and then this is a money transaction over here.
Fun.
This is for sex. I'm very interested to say, what are the currencies that work?
And that's what happens in those places, and that's why I don't got one.
That's not the thing. So Suge was amazing, though. His coach, Wayne Nunnally, said at one point, he told TMZ Sports that Suge is, quote, the exact opposite of a thug, is what he was at UNLV. No, this is all ridiculous. Later on, he was like, "You're out of your mind. This guy is the most stand-up guy in the world." He said he was a good guy. He said, quote, "Imagine the total opposite of the guy you know now." That was Suge.
Fascinating.
That's it. He said. He also said, quote, "Hell of a player. One of the most respectful, hard-working guys I ever had. One of our leaders. I don't know what happened when he put his pads down."
Yeah.
Something. Another coach here said, quote, "Knight played his butt off." He said Knight was a yes sir, no sir kind of guy. The type of player any college football coach would love to have on his team. That's fucking wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's he said that there was no problems. There was a bunch of other players on the team that got in trouble. Somebody had got in trouble for stealing video and stereo equipment.
Yeah.
Somebody beat up an off-duty policeman.
Jesus.
Another one was accused of sexual assault.
Oh, no.
And this guy said that he said, quote, "He never gave me a problem in any way."
Suge was never there.
Suge was not the guy.
Yeah.
Nope, not the guy. Just not the guy. Suge, though, says that it's kind of it was kind of his strategy with the coaches. He knew how to. If you played athletics for a long time, you know how to get over on coaches.
Sure, yeah.
And he said, quote, I'd say something. He'd say something like that, and then I'd play the dumb athlete role and say, "Okay, coach, I lost my books," and then they'd get him new books. That was one of those things. Like if he was failing something, they go, "What happened?" He goes, "Oh, I lost my books. I left them at the library." And they go, oh, that poor Shug. Well, we'll get you new books then. You'll be fine. Get on out there on the field.
It's a $600 mistake.
Yeah. He'd just go, oh, man, I just did that. Or, oh, whoopsie daisy. That's what he would do. And
they handle it.
And they would go, oh, man, that poor Shug. Okay, let's get him taken care of. He said, quote, they'd give him brand new books and he'd sell them to make extra cash. And then he'd say, I lost my books, and they get him more books. He went through the book scam like fucking 10 times. Just make a few extra bucks.
Good for Suge.
I mean, college is, you got to make a couple extra bucks.
Listen.
I get it. Yeah. I understand. 1987, his senior year, they said he left, after his junior year, came back for his senior year, and he was night and day different guy.
Right.
Changed in 2 months. He went from happy-go-lucky Suge to sullen, mysterious.
Yeah, death row.
Not hanging out with his teammates anymore.
Right.
Like Aaron Hernandez weird level type of shit. Also, another difference in him is he all of a sudden he had a shitload of money, and he rented a really nice apartment by himself.
Good for him.
And he had like brand new cars. He's doing great. Better than most college kids. Better than most, I would say, college graduates who've been in the workforce for 20 years, the way he's throwing money around and buying BMWs and shit.
First team all-conference pays really well.
Apparently, it pays great. You get all sorts of perks with that. They said now, all out of nowhere, too, he had visitors all the time coming from home.
Yeah.
People coming from Compton to hang out with him. And people in and out that looked, they said, looked a little shady.
Yeah.
And he became known throughout his senior year. By the end of his senior year, he was known as the biggest drug dealer on campus.
Hilarious.
So he's
9 months.
9 months. He went from happy-go-lucky Suge, never had a problem, hell of a nice guy, to the biggest drug dealer on campus.
Sugar Escobar.
Yep. Sugar Escobar. People bringing shit in from Compton every week for him. But on the field, the Rebels are 5-6 this year. So mediocre doesn't even begin to describe it for this team. They're just a mediocre team. And soon as football ends, football ends mid-year for a mid-college year.
November, December, right?
Yeah, the end of December is the end of the conference championships and all that shit. So mid-December.
Bowl games happen through January.
Yeah, that's not even the end of the second semester yet. Right. Suge just leaves college and goes back to Compton as soon as football's over.
I'm going to go there now.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not here for school.
School's 5 more months.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. I'm going home. This is crazy. So he goes back home, but he played football and he did well. We said he's all conference and all that. So fingers crossed for the draft in 87.
Yeah.
Not bad. So number 1 overall. I know you don't remember this because it's been 10 episodes since then, but 87 draft, number 1 overall, Jimmie.
Raghib Ismail.
I think you say that for everybody.
I do.
I could say 2011, Jimmie, Raghib Ismail. Jimmie, 1961. Raghib Ismail.
Raghib Ismail Sr.
Raghib Ismail's grandfather.
I don't know. He did go number 1, right? I think he did.
I don't think he did.
If he went 7, I feel like an asshole.
I think he went like 8 or some shit. Yeah, I think he did. Number 1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft.
Warren Sapp.
Vinny Testicle Verde.
Oh, my.
Sapp was drafted like number 10 overall in 95.
Okay.
There's a big, there's a documentary we talked about it where he dropped because they thought he was doing
11. It wasn't even top 10. It was number 11
or some shit.
Brutal.
It was bad. He was supposed to be top 3 or something. Vinny Testaverde, number 1, because Miami was a powerhouse in college at the time that he was the quarterback for. Number 2 overall, Cornelius Bennett, longtime Buffalo Bill, great. Alonzo Highsmith, 3. Brent Fullwood, 4, who's a Packer running back.
Where the fuck? Who?
Not too
Brent?
Brent Fullwood.
No.
I remember him, but it wasn't anything spectacular.
Has there ever been a football player named Brent that was great?
Brent.
No.
Brent.
Best you're going to get is
Jones.
Brent Favre.
That was pretty good. No. Brent Favre.
Brent. What a terrible name.
Brent's a bad name.
It is.
Brent is not a good name. No. Any name that sounds like another name that's like Brent.
Yeah.
No, Brett is the name.
Right.
You know what
His
I mean?
name's Brett.
Any of those names are bad, usually.
Brent.
Brent is no good.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit,
time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
Jesus. Number 5 overall. This is why Cleveland's always terrible. Mike Junkin. There you go. That's who they picked. You ever heard of him?
Cleveland. You picked a guy who's got junk in his name?
Junk. He's just junk.
Oh, God.
The Bills also got Shane Conlon, number 8. Jesus Christ. The Colts drafted Bennett, and then he ended up going to the Bills. Rod Woodson, though.
Yeah.
Number 10 overall.
That's a good one.
Hall of Famer there. Haywood Jeffries.
That's a good one.
Jim Harbaugh, the under fire always coach there.
Yeah.
A lot of different guys there. Later on, you got Christian Okoye, who was, I think, the second round.
Really?
Second round for the Nigerian Nightmare.
That is a steal.
Fuck yeah. Oh, God.
Boy, was he good.
He took the Chiefs to the playoffs on his back. Just
literally picked them up.
Stomped over the defensive line with his quarterback clutching to behind him for dear life.
Big.
Like it was his child at Disneyland going through the crowd. He was awesome. Chris Carter, the Hall of Famer, went number 113 overall.
Holy shit. No wonder he played so hard.
To the Eagles. Well, he got in trouble for drugs in college. That's why.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, his stock plummeted, and he had to prove he wasn't a fucking cokehead, basically.
Oh, I'll show you them. One of the best wide receivers you've ever seen.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Number 150 overall, Greg Lloyd, the great Steeler linebacker. Fuck, he was a badass. Number 183 overall.
Yeah.
Way down the line, like 7th round.
Yeah.
I mean,
if I guess this, will you give me anything big?
Probably not, because you were told it once.
I was. So. I don't know who this is.
Bo Jackson.
Oh, shit.
Bo fucking Jackson.
Incredible.
Bo Jackson
at
was
183.
Well, he was chosen number 1 overall the year before and by the Buccaneers and refused to sign with them.
Hilarious.
So, there it goes. And Al Davis just said, what's Bo Jackson doing? Because he went and played baseball instead. He went and played for the Royals.
Yeah.
He said, see if he's interested in playing football still. And he said, if you'll make a deal with me where I can finish the baseball season, then come in for football season, sure. And they
got
said,
yourself a deal.
7th round? Fuck it. Who cares? Yeah, great. I mean, 7th rounders don't make the team, so who gives a shit?
That's so awesome.
And then he'd come in and blow shit up, and it's awesome. So that's how we got that. Al Davis was a smart fuck, man. He really was.
That sold so many fucking Raiders jerseys. Genius move in itself.
Yeah, I get it. A lot of people don't. I'm not a Raider fan. You know what I mean?
I fucking hate them.
There you go. You're a Bronco fan.
Literally
you hate the Raiders. I'm like an NFC.
Yeah.
I'm a Giants guy, so they're not really on our radar.
Doesn't affect you.
No, but if you, unless you're like, yay establishment, gray flannel suits are awesome. Like, unless you're that guy, you should love Al Davis because Al Davis, everybody thinks I love a rebel and I'm sitting here drinking beer and watching football. Like, guess what? He was the guy who would tell all the stuffy shirts to go fuck themselves and be a nudge in their fucking side and have ideas on how to do things when they didn't have the kind of money other people have.
Right.
And he finagled himself into owning a fucking football team. He doesn't own an oil company.
No.
His dad didn't give it to him. He was a coach.
Right.
He was a fucking coach.
He's involved in this.
Made himself the commissioner of the AFL, and then part of the deal was when they merged they were like, fuck, what do we do with this guy? He's got a contract. So part of the deal to make him be cool with the whole thing, to not be in charge of the league because he was in charge of the AFL, was to give him a piece of the fucking Raiders and let him buy into it.
Unbelievable.
And that's what he did. Then he took over more and more, and it's his team after a while.
Wild.
So there you go. I mean, that's
what a story.
That's a fucking hustler.
Yeah.
And he took people off the garbage pile,
right,
and made them good, and put them together and said, that works for some reason. Made a recipe out of garbage, and it came out delicious.
Made winners.
Yeah. So hate the Raiders all you want, but fuck, everybody should know a little bit about Al Davis and everything else.
And then he was part of the players union, or he was instrumental in that forming.
No, that was on his team. Willie Upshaw was a big part of it.
You're right.
He's very big also if you like equality in sports.
Yeah.
He's the guy who
that tells you
was hiring black coaches before anybody else. He's the guy who didn't give a shit about that sort of thing. He'd bring in a black quarterback. I don't care. Right. Quarterback, play football.
Does he
doesn't
win?
give a shit.
I want him.
That's what it was. So he was very much ahead of his time. But Suge is undrafted though. Undrafted completely. He does get invited to Rams training camp.
Okay.
And they were in L.A. for the first time.
That was the first time there, huh?
Well, no, they were in L.A. then.
Oh,
this
got
is
it.
Going to St. Louis and coming back to L.A. So he comes into training camp as an undrafted free agent, but it's a hometown deal. So that's that's got to be pretty cool. I mean, honestly, to be
from Compton.
Fuck, it's pretty cool. So he goes there, but during training camp, he's cut. So he doesn't make the team. But this, happens every once in a while. And talk about a stroke of luck, being in the right place at the right time. This is when the beginning of the season, the player strike happens. Yeah. So basically everybody they cut, they get right on the horn with and go, hey, remember when we cut you a couple weeks ago?
So he didn't like you?
Totally fucked that up. Must have been a clerical error.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can come back and play for us again, please. So they call Suge back, and he makes the Rams now as a replacement player. So the 87 Rams, they'll go 6-9 later on. Eventually, the players will come back. The strike only lasts like 4 weeks.
Hilarious.
Where the players are actually really out. This team has like Jim Everett.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
Jim, the guy that... I hate Jim Everett, but I do like that he threw down Jim Rome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Whether it was fake or not, don't care.
I don't care. Yeah. That's the thing. It doesn't matter to me.
Jim Rome was on his ass. That's what matters.
Yeah. And it's funny because Jim Rome's got one of those voices where he's like, he's Mike Big. You know what I'm saying? We're like, I'm a big guy. But then when fucking Jim Everett stood up, you're like, oh my God, that tiny man's going to get mauled. He's like 5'7". He's like, I'm not so big anymore.
That
Shit.
Little guy with the deep voice is about to get his ass kicked.
No, I stood up. This is a bad move. I'm better in a chair environment. That's what it is. That was fucking hilarious. Giant 6'5" Jim Everett towering over him.
Don't call me that again.
Yeah,
I bet I will.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Sure thing, tiny person. That was fake, I'm sure, but who gives a shit?
All right.
So also on this team, Henry Ellard, who was very good. Eric Dickerson, who was a bad motherfucker.
Right.
And also, just to prove that he's not a Dolphin, Flipper Anderson on that team as well. Not a Dolphin once
Christmas
again.
Tree
So
sees it every year.
That's it. Yeah. So he's on the Rams, NFL.
Yep.
This is huge. He's been working toward this his whole life.
It's tremendous.
Grace.
Yeah.
This is grace for him, I would say.
He's in the NFL.
He's in the NFL, for fuck's sake.
Wild.
And I actually found on YouTube, I found when he's on the roster. He's only on the roster for 2 games.
2 games?
He plays in 2 games, and he has 8 plays, 0 sacks, 0 tackles, and 1 penalty. That's his NFL record. In total.
What is it? Is it offsides encroachment, right?
Who the fuck knows, man?
He would have been defensive end?
He's a defensive tackle, probably. Middle defense. He's on an end.
Probably offsides.
Yeah, probably on offsides. He jumped a little bit. A quarterback knows how to pull a rookie offside, so probably.
Yeah.
So, that's his whole NFL experience, his 2 games. So I went to YouTube, and I found
the game?
One of the games he was in. And he's just standing. You can see him on the sideline the whole time, just kind of standing there with his hands on his hips. Remember I sent you the screenshot with him circled?
Right.
And I'm like, look, it's Suge.
There it is.
You're like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, no, that's him right there.
55.
50.
I remember.
79.
Was it 55?
I think he's 79.
I thought it was 55.
No.
Oh, 55 in college.
In college, he was, 54, 55.
I think it was 55. Because you sent it to me. I'm like, 55?
Yeah.
Is that,
no, he was 79. I wanted. Yeah, 70, it's right here in the thing. 79 he was. So he doesn't do well.
No.
Let's just say that. And John Robinson, who was the coach at the time, says that he has no recollection of him whatsoever.
Not one bit.
So
Which means he remembers.
Yeah. Well, no, because it was a lot of replacement players. Yeah. So he probably never even filed their names in his bank. Just 79. Get on the field. I don't fuck. These guys are going to be gone in a couple weeks. Fuck them. I don't think he cared at all.
I'm not going to remember your name.
That's it. One of his coaches said, quote, Suge was just an anonymous nobody in the surroundings.
Ouch.
That's all he was. Yeah. That's all. Another guy said, quote, Marion Knight out of UNLV, who did what a lot of guys did and had a dream to play in the NFL and maybe didn't understand what the players were fighting for, the striking players. Right. He was just another guy, and nobody knew what he'd become. Mm-hmm. So that was that. So he's cut as soon as the real players come back. Yeah. They're like, get him out of here first. So
the guy with the penalty, and that's it.
That's just a penalty. That's his stats. Yeah. What are his stats?
A penalty.
A penalty? No, all of them. The tackles, just a penalty. Yeah, let's get rid of him first. He's just got a penalty. What do you say? We don't.
Everybody that's done nothing at all or harmed us.
Which is negative.
Right.
He has negative statistics in the NFL. He's got this many platinum records, this many this, that many that, 0 tackles and 1 penalty. That's all. It's forever going to be his stat line.
He actually backed his team up. That's what he did.
It was crazy.
Backed them up 5 to 10 yards.
It's one time.
Yeah.
So October 1987. This is literally the minute he's cut from the NFL. Like, I mean, he has a problem, man. When he's not doing something, he gets into trouble.
Yeah.
So October 87, he is arrested. It's exactly, fucking right when he gets cut. This is in an altercation with his future wife, Sharitha Knight, who was at the time Sharitha Golden. And she had obtained a restraining order against him first.
Before this.
And has him arrested this time for this is ballsy. This really, this is above and beyond. He grabbed her by her ponytail, and cut it off.
Oh,
in her mother's driveway.
Oh, was mom watching?
In the driveway of her mother's house, they got in a physical altercation where he grabbed her by the hair and cut off her fucking ponytail.
How do you have scissors at the ready in a driveway?
I feel like he was like, hold on, I got scissors in my car, and then dragged her over to his glove compartment by the hair. That's what I really feel like happened.
That's it makes a statement. It tells her that you're in charge.
Right.
Everything up to including how long your hair will be.
Yeah. Or he yelled at the mom, bring me out some scissors or it's going to hurt worse. Or some shit. I'm not trying to make light of obvious, horrible domestic violence. It happened 35 years ago, and she's doing much better after this. But still,
cut her hair.
This
in
is just ridiculous. That's how terrible it is. It's asinine to do this at the mother's house and to do this, cutting her hair off. That's fucking crazy.
It's humiliation.
It's fucking crazy time. So that happened that night. Mm-hmm. So he gets arrested, gets released. Obviously, 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later.
Days.
Halloween night.
Okay.
He's in Vegas now.
Yeah.
And he's arrested, holy shit, for shooting a man twice and stealing his car.
Yeah.
That's called a carjacking last I checked.
That's
if someone shot you twice, then drove away in your car, what would you call that?
Yeah, that's carjacking.
I think that's carjacking. He shot him in the leg once and in the wrist once and then stole his Nissan Maxima.
Wow.
I don't know if the guy owed him money.
Yeah.
That sounds like this guy owed him money for coke. That's what that sounds like to me.
Shooting a guy that's a long way to go for a Maxima. It's not that great
That's
of a
what
car.
I mean. To leg and wrist him and then take his car like, this belongs to me now, motherfucker, because you owe me money. That seems like that's what drug dealers do. That's drug dealer stuff, and leave him to limp home and bleed.
It's certainly not running around the streets and then you need a ride and you just take a random ass dude you never met before.
I'm going to steal the rims off that thing and sell them. Like, I don't think that's what was happening here. I think this was a debt, and Suge was showing how you don't fuck with Suge's money.
He means business.
Yeah, I don't think. I think he was big worming at this point, and kind of peacocking his toughness.
And anywhere else at this time in this country with that kind of crime, you're doing serious time.
That's
especially put away for quite some time.
Yeah, especially if 2 weeks before you were beating up a woman and cutting her hair off in her mom's driveway. This is forming a pattern of violence,
right?
And it's indiscriminate. It's not just even against your domestic partners. It's in the street. You'll shoot a person, steal their Maxima. You don't give a fuck.
If I'm paid due, then you better pay.
It's wild. So the police end up arresting him in the Nissan Maxima, which is he
still has the car.
Still has it. He's going to hang on to it for a while. Probably, I think was his whole thought. Maybe I'll hang on to it till you pay me, collateral, maybe,
or the gas runs out,
or just till it runs out of gas, and I'll leave it in the desert.
Yeah.
And when they catch him, he is carrying the .38 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver.
He got him with a 38 too.
Yeah, 38. That's
Jesus.
No joke. That's a
lot of gun.
It's a lot of gun.
Yeah,
and he's got a revolver to make sure it works right.
Yeah.
See, Suge's not going for looks here. No. He's going for it's going to work. Yeah. I need to shoot a man in the leg. I'm not trying to scare him and show him what I got.
Right.
I'm using this.
Right.
If you see someone with a revolver, they mean business. That's the person you don't fuck with.
Yeah.
If they got a big, shiny, fancy gun, they could be a crazy person, but they could also be just a flashy show-off or something and trying to scare people. If you see a person with a .38 revolver, they know this won't jam, and a .38 will fucking kill you, period. Right. That's their only concern. But it's only got 6 shots. All I'll need.
Yeah. And I've got the shells still.
Yeah.
I'll take them with me.
And I'll take them with me, exactly. All I'll need. That's why. If I can't hit you 6 times with 6 shots, that's my problem. Then, one of those people, that's the person you don't fuck with. They mean business.
A lot of those revolvers are only 5.
Yeah, that's even worse.
That's even more dangerous, man.
You know what? 5's all. I only need 1, so.
Sometimes 2?
I don't need any more than 4 extra, I'll tell you that much. So he's carrying that. So it seems like he'd be pretty well fucked. I mean, he's caught with the car and the gun. The guy says he did it.
Yeah.
It's, it happened. He's fucked. But he's very connected in Las Vegas because he played for UNLV for 3 years, and a lot of the lawyers in Vegas went to UNLV, and a lot of them are, alumni and boosters, and he's all conference, and there must have been some kind of misunderstanding, whether he's a fine young man. I talked to Coach Nunnally, he said he never gave him a problem. I think this is a misunderstanding. They're persecuting this poor young man, and he came into court. I'm a very nice young man. This is all a big misunderstanding. And they got the felony charges reduced to misdemeanors.
Shot a man.
He shot a guy twice and took his car.
Misdemeanor.
That's not a misdemeanor, man, in any fucking sense of anything.
Holy shit.
And what about the ponytail incident?
Right.
How about that? That's not a misdemeanor either. This is all terrible shit that he's doing.
He's a madman.
You know what he got, though? You, sir, may fuck off. 3 years probation and $1,000 fine, mister. You stay out of trouble.
Wow.
You better stay out of trouble. You stop it right now.
I dare you to try to get that penalty.
Do that. Go out, find a Nissan Maxima, shoot a guy in the leg, then in the wrist, take the Maxima, keep the gun on you while driving the car, and see if you get that. Anybody. It's
not going to happen.
No, that's some athlete shit.
Yeah.
That's some silver-haired, middle-aged white man shit there. That's a team of them.
You're going to be down for a minute.
Yeah.
You're going for a while.
That's a bunch of alumni, and they knew a judge, and everybody did like on Goodfellas when he winked, and they was like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, you broke your cherry. Like, that's what happened here. This is just like college sports corruption.
Fascinating.
Yeah, Vegas is obviously a corrupt town anyway, especially in the 80s.
Oh God!
And a college will run that shit with the athletics, especially.
You think it's clean today, and it's certainly fucking not. I guarantee it's worse.
In the 80s, there was still the remnants of like gangsters owning shit. Then, like, it was a completely different time period.
There were still shark skin suits hung in closets in case they showed up.
Just in case.
Yeah.
It was still the Wild West back then there. It wasn't like Vegas is a way bigger city than it was then. In the 90s it blew up. So in 1990, this goes by. So he's on his probation. in 1990, I guess his probation is up because it's 3 years later. Mm-hmm. He's in Vegas, and he has an altercation with a man in public, of course, and uses a loaded pistol to hit him in the face and break his jaw.
Jesus.
And that's also a felony as well. It's like assault with a deadly weapon. Right. So, that's like the most literal way of assaulting someone with a deadly weapon. With a deadly weapon, yeah. I beat you with a gun. Apart from like a baseball bat beating somebody with a shotgun. Yeah. That's the most. That's pistol whipping is essentially just holding it by the barrel and beating him with the fucking butt of the thing. The stock of it. Just beating man of a bitch. With a fucking deadly weapon. That's wild. So he ends up pleading guilty to felony assault with a deadly weapon. Wow. This is a guy who has the other thing on his record, and then the ponytail incident and all of this. So this is going to be serious now. We got to take care of this. You're going to jail at this point. I mean, nip this right. Yeah, clearly there's an issue with this guy. He's like 25 years old, and he's a menace to society. So we got to let's put our foot down. You, sir, may fuck off. 2 years suspended. Yeah. Now, I'm starting to get serious with you. I'm starting to get serious now. Yeah, I gave you probation. You did the probation, so so suspend the sentence. But I'll tell you what. Yeah, it's hanging over your head, mister. Just you know that. Stop blinking your eyelashes at me. You better stop it, sugar bear. Care how sweet you are. Your sweetness got you this far. Yeah, fine, but it's not going to happen again. It's just not going to happen again. Oh, and a $9,000 fine. Stop it, mister. This is why he thinks he's above everything. Yeah, because college. It's sports. This is why he's a good crime in sports. People go, I only played for a minute. No. Yeah. Sports formed this. Wow. Sports made him above the law. Sports made a monster. Yeah. Sports even made... I honestly think he would have been better off. A guy, for some reason, his particular brand of psychology would have been better off if he was in gangs when he was younger, because the fact that he wasn't and was in sports made him feel special. Right. That he was above everybody else. Right. He's above all of you regular people who have to, go out and beat each other up in the streets. I have practice. Yeah. I'll be there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that's a definite thing. And then, everyone from college gets him off on all of these very serious. Oh, boy. Legal issues. Dead ass serious. I would be very afraid if I shot a guy twice and got caught in his car with a fucking gun on me. I'd be scared. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to prison. This is not good. This is fucked up, man. So... unless we have listeners who are good criminal defense attorneys. I know we have some, so there are. Just in case that happens, be there for me, because you never know. Follow me on Twitter. I don't know. Could happen. Follow the saga just in case I need you. I might need you. Yeah. And, if I do, please help me. Yeah. So he is, he's got building a healthy record through all this. It's by now, though, by the time all this is going on, he's moving on to other things, too. He's starting to dip his toes into show business now. And he is now a bodyguard for Bobby Brown. It's unbelievable. And, Bobby Brown. Go from arrested 3 times for awful things. It's his prerogative, Jimmy. Yeah. What do you want? He's going to do what he wants to do. But if you're Bobby Brown, that's a great bodyguard. Yeah, he's down. He's a scary man. He's a rider. If you're looking for bodyguards, you're on the resume. You're like, well, what's your criminal record? Right. You've shot a man and then stole his car, right? What you been arrested for? Let's talk about it. You want to know that? Yeah. Let's say, hold on a minute. I'm Bobby Brown. I am interviewing you for this job. Now, I'm going to give you a hypothetical. Yeah. It's a job interview, so you're Suge. Just suppose, because a lot of women, they like me. I'm Bobby Brown. I dress in like a leather outfit, and I put that little microphone that comes out, and I wiggle and shimmy, So while I'm doing that, there's going to be women throwing themselves at me. Your job is to bat them away. Yeah. Suppose one gets particularly close to me, and she has a ponytail. What would you do? Yeah, scissors. You're hired. It's the right answer. That's the right... I feel like that's what Bobby Brown would be looking for. As long as that response is like right now, what do you do? Scissors. You got scissors? All right, sold. Scissors? Kind of mad motherfucker. Yeah, you're hired. She gonna be distracted, ain't she? That's it. Oh, shit. You know what? He's right. I'm gonna chop that motherfucker off. So that's what he's doing there. And and at the same time, he found another job. He's just trying to figure out any way He's like a sperm trying to get into the egg. He's just trying to figure out where's the opening. How do I get on in here? He can't fucking.
Where's the crack?
Into show business. I got to do something. He doesn't want to be a bodyguard because I mean that's you're just a bodyguard.
Right.
You're not. He needs to be in charge of shit. So he ends up finding a new employer in Beverly Hills, a sports agent named Tom Klein, who was starting to get into the music business.
Sure.
He was just dipping his toes into the music business because at this point, this is early 90s is when CDs really became when everybody had a CD player. And it's for some reason when the explosion of buying CDs happened because they were, you get them for $11.99 and people just went fucking crazy. So the music industry was never more profitable than it is in this era.
Oh, it was crushing.
From now until about 99, 2000, till Napster really, 2001, that 10-year period, the music industry is fucking printing money.
Yeah.
And that's when like major corporations are buying record companies because they want to get in on this easy profit. They need this cash flow and all this type of shit. So it really, really becomes a thing. So a sports agent's trying to get into it. He hires Suge as a driver / bodyguard / talent scout.
Hell yeah!
Now you know these people, don't you? Right. You're from these neighborhoods with these people, right? I don't know. They dance around and sing things. I don't know why I picture him like Vince McMahon.
What a borderline racist thing you did there, Tom Klein.
That's what I mean. I picture him like Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
You know these people. You're from the same places as these people, right? They what do? They sing doo-wop over garbage cans or whatever. Fires going. I don't know what the hell these people are doing. But you go out there.
You know what the kids listen to, right? You know what I mean by kids.
The kids, you go out there on the streets and I want you to find people that are selling drugs and making rhymes on the corners and just get them in here. I don't know if they have musical talent or whatever. You know what to do, but
I don't know what they look like.
I don't care. I'll pay you money and then you do that and bring them to me.
Suge's a scout.
He's a scout.
Wow.
So he starts, but Suge, once he gets that little in, he just tries to take it over, basically. He starts using the agent's office when the agent's not there to audition rap acts.
Rad.
So he's scouting for his own shit, and he's trying to, he's got a idea to build a record company, and he wants to try to do this. He knows a lot of drug dealers with a lot of cash, and drug dealers, one thing about them, they have a shitload of cash, more cash than they literally know what to do with, like drug kingpins.
Or are allowed to do with.
That's what I mean. Yeah. They have more cash. They buried in the ground. They put it, I mean, John Gotti Jr., when he got arrested the one time, he had $3 million in cash in the wall of an abandoned building.
A building he doesn't...
Anybody could have wandered into that building.
What that building's going to do.
Any junkie could have wandered into that building and climbed in the wall for some warmth and been like, oh my God, my prayers are answered, and would have had like 4 days and then would have been back in the building. Anybody could have done that.
You ever find $3 million buried somewhere? Get the fuck away from that money.
That's bad.
Somebody wants that back.
Yeah. You know who buried money? Pablo Escobar and shit. People like that buried money. You don't want to take their money. John Gotti Jr., Pablo, the Gambino family, and the Medellin cartel. That's who buries money. Watch out.
Whitey Bulger puts that shit in his apartment complex walls. You don't want to tangle with that man.
No. You can stay out of the drywall. So he knows a lot of people who have more money than they know what to do with, and the record industry is a good place to put it and a good place to launder it.
Yeah.
You can put $1 million. Okay, that's good. I don't need that. You put $1 million into there, and then you start making legit money off that you can actually claim on your taxes.
There you go.
And then you can live in a big mansion and drive a Rolls Royce.
Right.
And when they bring you in and go, how can you afford that? You go, well, my tax return says right here, my investments, and here's my payoff. I paid my, this is all capital gains, mister.
I'm good at money. That's why.
Yeah, because I'm a businessman. That's how gangsters become legitimate, and a lot of gangsters became legitimate for 60, 70 years in the record business.
Yeah.
I mean, mobsters did that back in the day like crazy.
Brilliant.
So he brings in the DOC, the rapper, the DOC, to help him kind of sift through these acts and tell him what's good and tell him what's bad. DOC is looking for a label. He's pissed off at his label, and he wants out, basically, and he's trying to figure out what to do. And so is NWA, as we know. They're upset. I'm sure we've all seen Straight Outta Compton. If you've seen that, they're all upset.
Ruthless was ruthless.
They want out. They want out away from Eazy-E, and more importantly, from Jerry Heller. And this whole thing is going on. Because DOC's album came out on Ruthless, and it was number 5 on the top rap singles chart, the song. So it's funky enough. So yeah, DOC, obviously from the movie and everything else, he gets in a car accident, can't really rap anymore. He sounds
pretty brutal life.
He's got bad luck, man. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And his mumbles are mumbles.
Yeah.
They're really not. It's not something you, like
he gets all fucked up. What gets hurt? Only my voice.
Yeah.
What? That's all you need, though.
The only thing he can
They could have taken that motherfucker's legs and he could have still had a career.
Been fine.
Chopped him off at the hips and he would have been fine.
Wheels.
No worries. He could have called himself, instead of the DOC, he could have called himself the DMV. It doesn't matter. He could have done anything he wanted to. He had a cool-ass voice.
Yeah.
The only HOV. Thing fucked up. Yeah, the HOV. Whatever the fuck. It doesn't fucking matter.
Hilarious.
But instead, just his voice. Talk about luck, man. Jesus Christ. So, but Suge, what he would do is, Suge became kind of he was courting the DOC because he wanted DOC to be his first guy on his new label. So he's trying to get in good with him. He did that by getting in good with DOC's mother.
Yeah.
Suge knows what to do.
Brilliant.
He became basically his mother's chauffeur and just would go over his mother's house and sit there all day with her and talk about whatever she wanted to talk about and watch soap operas and take her to the store and just...
Yeah, bitch, I love cats. Just whatever.
Yeah, that cat's it's cute as fuck, man. Yeah, he's fluffy. Like anything, just to try to get, everybody. If DOC even talked to his mom, she'd go, "Oh, that's Suge. You should trust him. Go with him. He's a good boy. He talks about the cat. Yeah, he pets Snuggles, and I could tell it's real.
Yeah,
it's genuine. I can see it." So Suge also began setting up autograph signings for the DOC to try to get some money in his pocket, a little extra money, because Ruthless Records isn't giving him any. So he eventually told him, they're fucking robbing you, dude. They're robbing you blind. And, so DOC started getting kind of on that. And then he said, hey, since you're on my side now, DOC, I know you're friends with that Dr. Dre fella over there, and, I don't think we should find out if they're getting a fair deal, because if not, maybe they want to, maybe some of those guys want to get the fuck out of there, too, because, Straight Outta Compton had just come out, the album, and, it was a big goddamn deal, and for guys like DOC and Dre, they liked Suge because Suge's a fucking tough, he's a bad motherfucker. Yeah. Suge gives you street cred. Like, no one fucks with you if you're Suge, if you're with Suge. That's period.
And he's enterprising with ideas of how to make us money.
Yeah, so that's the thing.
We can be the guys and make money.
And at the same time, if you go out and, you go somewhere as a crew or whatever the fuck the deal is, no one's going to fuck with you. Yeah. Like, you are protected. No one's going to make you look like a pussy and then ruin your rap career because of it, So they looked at that as a big thing. Like, this dude is... he could actually back this shit up and all that sort of thing. He's hanging out with DOC a lot. DOC says that he believed that, it helped to have Suge with him to give him street cred, because he said at one point early on, DOC says they were leaving a club one evening, him and Suge, and DOC says, quote, some N-word run up on me like he was fixing to hit me in the jaw. Suge just tore his ass up. I mean, he broke him down to his component parts. So that's...
Hell yeah.
That's what happens. People want to test rappers all the time back then. They, it was like, oh, you think you're tough type of shit. And so,
his component
parts.
That's a hell of a beat down.
That's a beat down. Yeah, that's whooping somebody's ass there.
That's a man screaming, please stop. Don't.
His component parts. That's just fucking somebody up. So, he wants to start a label. And
the guy's screaming, all right.
Yeah, please, Jesus Christ.
No more.
I
give
swear.
up.
I'm sorry. It is funky enough. It is.
Those are component parts.
It's very much funky enough. I'm sorry. So then, in honor of DOC, he wants to call the whole thing Funky Enough Records there. So Suge signs, first off, DJ Quick, a fellow Pyru blood.
Right.
And as we'll find out a little bit later here, he's involved in tons of shit, DJ Quick.
Really?
Man. Oh, my God.
Straight as fuck, isn't he?
Oh, he's the first guy jumping in, stomping people that end up dead and shit like that.
quick.
It's fucking crazy.
He's quick to get in it.
He's quick to jump in some shit. Yeah. And a bunch of other people too. Especially he ended up signing one guy who was kind of more of a writer, and there's a guy named Mario Johnson. And 1990, when Vanilla Ice put out Ice Ice Baby and his song, Mario Johnson told Suge that he fucking wrote and produced the song. He said he helped Vanilla Ice with a bunch of that album, and he wrote like 8 of the songs, and one of them, fucking Ice Ice Baby, and this shit is blowing up, and I haven't seen a goddamn dime for this shit. So can you help me about that? So he ended up selling Vanilla Ice. That album sold 18 million copies.
That was a lot.
That's a lot of copies. Yeah. Like
I stole it.
You. I wonder if that counts.
It was a moved unit.
That's what I mean. It's out of inventory, I guess. He says he wrote 7 of the 12 songs on the album. So you're owed some fucking dough on 18 million albums sold. So he, Suge, who, this is right after the assault with the deadly weapon in Vegas, by the way, charge here. This is a famous story, obviously. He shows up at the Palm Restaurant in Hollywood, and Vanilla Ice is eating. He's got a security team with him. He's eating dinner there. And according to Vanilla Ice, Suge comes in, and he's got 2 guys that were same size as Suge.
Yeah.
Just 3 giant people walk in.
A wall moved.
Oh, yeah, a moving wall. And he said they grabbed his bodyguards, lifted them out of their seats, and placed them aside. Which is, excuse me, for them not even to fight back. That's how threatening these people must have been. So Suge said he stared at him. They said Suge stared at him for a long time, and he said, "How you doing?" And then he left. And he said this happened on several different occasions. Suge would just show up. They'd put his security people aside, be like, "What's up? I can get to you," and then leave. So obviously this is going to put Vanilla Ice on his heels a little bit here.
Make you uneasy.
You know. And they said that Suge, by the way, this is legitimate, like the fact that this guy wrote these fucking songs, because they were saying, like, how do you know this guy wrote the songs, like internally, Suge and his friends here, and this guy had handwritten sheet music for Ice Ice Baby, and like shit. He had fucking folders full of shit from writing this goddamn shit, and his girlfriend, who was at the kitchen table when he was writing the songs and telling her about him back in the day, she said, "Oh yeah, he's entitled to some fucking money here," basically. So they said, Mario Johnson, the writer guy, he said, "We knew where Vanilla Ice was staying because I was supposed to be hearing some tracks he was doing. He wanted me to come by myself, but Suge said, 'I'm going with you.'"
Yeah. And also, I'm not going alone. If this motherfucker owes me money, we're gonna get that money.
That's the thing. So they go over to the hotel room. Vanilla Ice is there, and this is the famous story, because the famous story that Vanilla Ice told, and it was on Behind the Music and all that shit for 25 years, was that they came in and Suge hung him off the balcony and made him sign over rights to the songs to this Mario Johnson guy.
Right.
That's kind of gotten, now they say he took him out on the balcony to talk to him, but didn't really need to hang him off. I think the balcony was implied, basically.
Or he straight up said to his face, "I'll hang you off this motherfucking balcony."
I think if you're on a balcony with an angry Suge, it's just implied that
there are two exits from this balcony.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You choose which one you want.
I feel like that's what's going on there. So Vanilla ended up doing it. Vanilla ended up signing over the songs. So this made Suge a legend. People were like, "Holy shit, this guy gets shit done." Now people wanted him on their side. They wanted him to run their career, basically, because no one can fuck with you. If you go out to a club, somebody tries to run up on you, he'll break them down to their component parts. Some fucking stupid-haired, fucking dumb shit white rapper steals your songs, you can fucking... He'll go over to his motel room or hotel room and fucking, get your songs for you. Like, this is a bad motherfucker. We could be with him. So, So this is when...
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
When Dre starts to boycott the Ruthless Records, boycott the NWA recording sessions and all of that sort of thing. And this is how this goes. Now, Suge now begins to threaten Jerry Heller, the Ruthless Records owner, him and Eazy-E there. Right. So he starts phoning threats to Heller's assistant, Gary Ballin. And then he just shows up one day, Suge does, at Gary Ballin's office with just a shitload of Bloods, just a bunch of gang members with him, and forces this guy to sign a written apology to Michelet, Dr. Dre's girlfriend, for, quote, disrespecting her.
Okay.
So he's like, okay. And so he signs this. Ballin said, this is hilarious, by the way. This guy's like, I need to take control. I'm scared. So he begins carrying a stun gun, which, I mean, he's got a crew of Bloods. The stun gun isn't going to help. No. And taking karate classes. I just picture some 50-year-old fucking guy like, I know karate now, damn it. I'm a green belt. I'm not taking any more of your shit with a bunch of...
I'm the last dragon.
Yeah. Bunch of 300-pound guys dressed in head-to-toe red. The fuck out of here. What are you talking about? Karate. He couldn't sleep at night, which is fair.
Yeah.
So Jerry Heller hired a pair of big giant weightlifters to serve as his bodyguards, keeps a shotgun in his desk drawer.
That's better.
That's what we're doing here, yeah. Suge claims that one day he came to the office and Jerry wasn't there, but the bodyguards were.
Yeah.
And he said that he, quote, made those two motherfuckers get down on their hands and knees and walk around like dogs. That's his quote there. So Suge wanted to see Ruthless Records contracts with the artists because basically he's acting as kind of their agent at this point, which is funny because he's trying to steal them for his own record company. So not really an agent, but for all intents and purposes, he's acting as an agent to these people. So Heller says, I'm not showing you shit. So Suge showed up one day this is how fucked up he is, how crazy he is. Not at Jerry Heller's office, not any of those. He shows up at Ruthless Records' corporate attorney's office. They're not in a rap. They're not in the rap. They're corporate attorneys.
This is a different building.
This is a different building. This is people who have nothing to do with any of this
rap
shit.
Doesn't even happen there.
They don't. Yeah, they know nothing. They're like, rap what? Christmas presents? Yeah, I hate when I have to do that. They have no idea what you're talking about.
Sign on the dotted line and that's a wrap. That's what they say there. That's it.
That's a wrap. He shows up there, forces his way inside a corporate law office, searches through the file cabinets until he finds what he wants, and then leaves.
Takes it with him.
Just takes it with him and leaves. Just that's wild shit there. And he found out, of course, that they were fucking them over horribly. He read their contracts, showed them their contracts, and said, you're getting fucked. Look at this. And they were getting fucked.
Sure.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. That was all good.
Right.
Up till this point, he's doing what needs to be done in a dirty business. I really believe that.
In a ruthless way.
Yeah. Vanilla Ice owed that motherfucker.
He did. Yeah.
He owed him.
Right.
So that was legitimate, I feel
He's righting
like.
a lot of wrongs.
He's righting wrongs. Yeah, the DOC thinks someone wants to come punch him in the face. You break him down to his component parts. this going on. They're fucking him over on contracts. You take it over. This is all good things, you know? This is like John Gotti would throw very nice fireworks displays and picnics for the whole neighborhood. Also.
Right.
So he's doing well. And I guess only Eazy-E had the power to release Dr. Dre from the contract there. And Suge now gets in business with a guy named Dick Griffey, who was the owner of the Soul Train TV show and the chairman of Solar Records. And basically, they're going to try to he's going to produce records for them, and they're going to have Griffey's trying to sell a package for soundtrack albums to Sony Records for their movies to have soundtracks with, and he's trying to have it so they can be produced by Dr. Dre.
Got it.
So in order to do that, there's a big deal sitting on the table with a fucking major motion picture company and a major media company. In order to do that, they need to get Dre out of this contract. Right. That's the whole thing. So that's why it was so important to get them the fuck out of this contract. So April of 91, they call Eazy-E. Dr. Dre calls Eazy-E, invites him to a meeting at Solar Records to just discuss State of the Union. Right. Let's talk about it. Let's talk business, basically.
Get things out in the air.
Yeah. And Eazy-E thought this was all on the up and up. This is all going to happen. So he shows up to the meeting with no security or anything like that. He gets up there, and it's, Suge Knight and Dr. Dre and a bunch of other people there. So it's just, I'm sorry, Dr. Dre's not there. It's just Suge Knight and a bunch of Suge Knight's guys here. His
Pyru guys.
His Pyru guys, yeah. So he basically says that everybody wants to leave, and you're going to let them out of their fucking contracts. And he said no, Eazy-E. So Suge told him that he was holding Jerry Heller hostage in a van outside, and he knew where Eazy's mother lived, which is fucking wild. And
that's an interesting business tactic.
Well, you know what, though? Rule of three. He does know the rule of three, because that's two. Heller in the van, know where your mother lives. Oh, and the closer, a bunch of guys walked in the room carrying lead pipes and stood on both sides of Eazy-E. So that was the...
And now it's your turn.
So we got Jerry Heller. We'll kill your mother, and we'll just beat the shit out of you with lead pipes on top of that.
Your choice.
Yeah, so what do you say there? So
I got a feeling that is not how Sprint was taken over by fucking, was it Verizon? Verizon got him?
That's how the AOL Time Warner merger happened, I'm pretty sure, in the late 90s. I'm pretty positive that was how that came together. I think
that's how American bought U.S. Airways. I'm sure of it.
Turner was involved, and I think Ted Turner came in with some pipes, and
I know where your mom lives.
Your mom lives, with the AOL executive board. They were like, yeah, you're valued higher, but you don't fucking make anything. You're a goddamn internet stock, and then what the fuck? And then by the halfway through, when we're done doing the deal, you'll be worth less than us, but then you're going to get more stock price. Fuck that. That's what's going on here. That actually happened. I read about it. So anyway, Suge needs, now he's got all the rappers, he's got everything. Now all he needs is money to start this up. So he goes to an investor. This guy's a cool, bad motherfucker. He's Michael Harry O. Harris, and Harry O. he's a famous drug dealer. During the mid-'80s, he's like the most famous gangster in the history of the city when it comes to this shit. He's
all LA.
And he is cool as fuck. He's 6'5" and wears Versace suits.
Hell yeah!
Like that's some cool gangster shit there. That's like, he does it.
Class.
They said he could go from fucking hanging out with gangbangers to a movie premiere in Hollywood and be just as welcome in both places wearing the same fucking outfit.
Incredible.
That's just the type of guy he was. He does all sorts of shit. But of course he gets arrested because he's a drug kingpin. Right. He gets put in jail. And he also financed, this is a big deal, he financed a Broadway play, Checkmates, which he personally, Harry O., chose the lead, who was an unknown actor at the time named Denzel Washington.
Fascinating.
So that's who he found.
Incredible.
Yeah, there's pictures of Harry O. with Denzel back in the day and
Sick.
Shit. It's coolish. Denzel looks like he's 14. It's funny as hell.
Probably was.
But, yeah, he was like 20 at the time or something. So during all of this, he and his wife Lydia begin to make plans to start a record label. And the way he wants to get into the record business to wash his money, Suge wants financing in the record business. It's a match made in heaven, and the link between them to put them together. They need somebody to put them together. Is a guy named David Kenner, who's a criminal attorney.
Yeah.
And he'll be Suge's. Whenever you see Suge in court, the guy standing next to him is David Kenner. I mean, till fucking 3 years ago. It's crazy. So, David Kenner's his guy there. Kenner he's also handling Harry O's criminal appeal and all that sort of shit. Sets up a meeting between Harry O and Suge in the Metropolitan Detention Center, which is...
It's negotiated in jail.
It's negotiated in the visiting fucking room in jail here. And Knight and the Harrises each own 50% of the company, and Kenner's going to form the corporation and help run the parent company and all that sort of shit. Mm-hmm. The contract that they ended up drawing up gave Suge control of Death Row's day-to-day operations, while Harris provided the, quote, overall philosophy and direction.
Okay.
That's what was in writing. He was to invest $1.5 million to start up this whole thing. So after about 2 years, though, Harry O figures out that Knight and Kenner basically set up a bunch of corporate shells and walled him off from anything.
Oh, no.
So he's not getting shit. He's not getting profits. He's not getting anything, and he can't get to it because they've set up a bunch of...
Legally, it's impossible.
A bunch of walls. Right. But Kenner knows what he's doing legally, and that's what ended up happening. So later on, they end up hooking up with Interscope Records when they needed $10 million they got from Jimmie Iovine, and that's how that ended up happening. And Death Row ends up moving out of the Solar Records building, and they dumped the Dick Griffey guy. Don't need you anymore.
Right.
And they set up offices near Interscope's offices on Wilshire Boulevard.
Yep.
Not fucking around anymore, doing this shit up. So the first album is The Chronic that they release, and as we know,
it's timeless.
It's
amazing.
Monstrous hit that just lasts, still to this day. People know the songs. It's just a giant fucking hit.
Yeah.
It's an anthem album of everybody knows that shit. So hugely big. It was held the top place, a place in the Billboard top 10 for 8 months.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's how enduring that shit was.
Wow.
That's a long fucking time. And the same day The Chronic was released, David Kenner filed articles of incorporation for Death Row that listed Suge and Dre as the company's sole directors.
Yeah.
So now he's involved in it. And for all he did, Harry O's only fucking anything he got out of it was on the liner notes on The Chronic. It says, special thanks to Harry O.
Special thanks, bud.
Special thanks.
Good looking out.
For all the money to make this happen. Thanks. Thanks, Chief. So... and they're doing really well. Then Doggy Style comes out in 93.
Yeah.
They grossed more than $60 million in their first year in business.
Is that right?
Which is a shitload of money.
Yeah.
Enough to more than pay back Harry O. Give him his $1.5 million back, for fuck's sake. So, they were, it's becoming known as it's the place people want to be. They make fucking money, those people, and shit like that. They have crazy parties, too. They have parties where... all the parties, there's like strippers and porn stars that are like basically naked, that are like humping ice sculptures.
So
and
good.
They have like they have like 70s blaxploitation gangster parties.
Yeah.
Like movies from like, this is the bad guy in the movie, and they're having some weird party with a bunch of like scantily clad women who are like humping on old men.
Rad.
That's the parties they're having. It's fucking insane. For the Chronic release party, they had a big cake with big, weed leaf icing on it and all that kind of shit, like the album cover. It was Death Row. All of their parties, though, become very like, it's a volatile environment.
Yeah,
like shit can pop off at any time. There's both Crips and Bloods there.
Tension in the air.
Everybody's not friends. Basically, like Suge Knight's friends don't like Snoop Dogg because he's a Crip and he's saying Crip shit, and then they're mad at him, and it's like, $60 million. What are you fucking talking about? Let's all pick a new color and wear it. Fucking who gives a shit?
We'll all wear purple. I don't give a fuck.
Who cares at this point? It doesn't matter. We win.
Yeah.
Like $60 million, dude. This is crazy. So Suge Knight was, traveling with a pretty hardcore group of people.
Yeah.
One of the record employees, and it's important to stress a black record employee, said that he was surrounding himself with, quote, half quote, I guess, penitentiary N-words. He said that was what Suge was bringing around. Yeah. So not really professional people, so
safe.
But they're it's very safe. He did all of this shit, man. He got in a fight with a security guard one time in a club here. What is this? Prince's Glam Slam, some LA club. Yeah. And apparently in front of shitloads of people, he gets in a big fight and beats somebody so bad he has to get his spleen repaired with surgery.
Jesus.
You beat the spleen out of somebody, that's a beating.
Those are deep.
That's throwing a beating on somebody, you know what I mean?
You got to get through a lot of stuff to hit that.
To buck up a spleen?
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Now, here's where Daryl Henley comes in, and Crime and Sports listeners may remember the Daryl Henley episode, as he's one of the craziest son of a bitches we've ever done.
Yeah.
Well, Daryl Henley, while he's suspended for operation of a large drug ring, he's suspended from the Rams. During that time, Suge puts him to work as the general manager and personal enforcer at Death Row's Wilshire Boulevard office.
What a title.
Basically, stay here and scare the shit out of everybody.
You want to punch some people?
Yeah, punch them, pull guns on them.
Yeah.
They, the employees, when Henley ended up being sent to prison for fucking life, or 40 years or whatever it was, the employees were so relieved to not have him around anymore. They said of everybody around, he was by far the scariest person out of all the gangsters, all the people Suge got around. Everybody was more scared of Daryl Henley than anybody. They said he was terrifying, which is pretty fucking funny.
It is.
Among gangsters, he's terrifying. So, yeah, a lot of bad things happen. The reputation. The early 90s, though, the more violence that was around you, the better, more albums you sold as a rapper. Yeah. That's what you were selling, was like, I would lead a dangerous lifestyle as your
White kids
thing.
In the suburbs can feel dangerous by listening to these people that actually have a dangerous lifestyle.
Exactly. Right. It's like in the 60s when kids heard that Jimi Hendrix put a bunch of acid in his headband when he went on stage. That sold more albums.
Yeah.
Like the parents were like, oh my God, get him fucking in jail.
Right.
And the kids were like, I got to buy that. Really? It's got to be an awesome album.
Maybe those songs tell about how he felt in that moment. I'd like to know.
That's the shit. There were Suge, Dre, and the DOC were all arrested following a melee in a hotel at the Black Radio Executive Convention in New Orleans. They're arrested because a 15-year-old fan was stabbed in the melee.
That'll do it.
And, the New Orleans cop had to ride horses into the hotel lobby to break up the brawl, which is
cowboys.
Pretty fucking insane. Yeah, this is wild. And by the way, this book is amazing. It's called Labyrinth, like L-A.
Yeah.
Labyrinth. It's an amazing book that a lot of this all this very detailed legal information came from, because it's a LAPD officer that wrote it, that worked on the Biggie Tupac case forever, and kind of not your typical guy. They kind of edged him out of the force because he was looking into things they'd really rather not look into and shit like that, So
he was trying to solve it.
Trying to solve it, and it seemed like real inconvenient.
Yeah.
The general police forces, the upper echelon of the police force, their general disposition on Biggie and Tupac was, if all these people want to kill each other, I don't know what the fuck they want from us. That was literally their stance. Like, I don't know, they're just killing each other. These rappers. So as long as they just do that, then
I'm not a rapper.
Really our problem. Just like, what? Let people get shot in the streets? That's okay with you?
Lit up on the strip in Vegas? That's not dangerous to you?
Nuts,
are you crazy?
Man. Yeah, it's firing at fucking vehicles and shit. So
unbelievable.
This ended up helping their reputation, though, because it's made it sound dangerous. During all this, it looks great, but like Snoop Dogg here, while Doggy Style is doing very well on the charts, he's still living in an unfurnished apartment. Suge would rent apartments for people and just stick them in it.
Yeah.
There you go. And they'd have no furniture, no nothing. And Snoop would have to fucking depend on Suge for food money. He'd be like, yo, Suge, can I have some money? I don't have any food.
Right.
Meanwhile, his album's shooting up the charts. He should be getting paid.
Yeah.
And he's not at all getting paid. He's just sitting there going, when am I going to get like any money for this?
I can't afford gin nor juice.
Yeah.
I need money.
I have the gin, Suge, but could you stop and get me maybe just some juice possibly? So 1992 comes along, and He says that most of his troubles, he tells a reporter, they said, well, what's up with all this? You're starting this label. People are getting stabbed. You've been arrested a bunch of times. And he said most of the problems were created by, quote, police out looking for trouble with most of Suge's problems. Well, I guess if you call looking for a man who shot a guy and then stole his car looking for trouble, maybe. He's not getting like pulled over and fucked with. They're coming because there's a specific crime to investigate.
They're coming for the trouble that you started.
There's a lot, Well, that happened. A lot of people, that's legitimate. Not him. No. That's the day. He's doing a lot of shit. I can't believe they're not looking for more trouble with him. He gets arrested way less than he probably should, honestly. So he said, "It don't bother me none, though. That's why it's been. That's the way it's been as long as I can remember. I'm used to it."
Okay.
So in 1992, though, he's charged with assault with a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
He's convicted of misdemeanor battery in Beverly Hills, convicted of carrying a concealed weapon in West Covina, and convicted of disturbing the peace in Van Nuys. It's a full L.A. tour.
He is just. Giving L.A. hell.
He's going to do sing the verse 2 to I Love L.A., basically. He's getting arrested and everywhere.
Wild.
West Covina, arrested. Fuck. The most serious charge, though, is this one here. He had a charge where at Solar Records he had some problems, and we'll talk about that. Suge... Jesus Christ. He would publicly say that he was, a blood. His offices at death row were all red. He had red carpeting and red cabinets and a red desk and the whole deal. The only thing that wasn't red was the death row logo in the floor, which is the guy in the electric chair there.
And that was black.
That had black with like a white thing around it. Mm-hmm. There was a guard with a metal detector at the door, which, most offices have. And,
go see the president of the record label. Walk through this horseshoe, please.
It's so strange. But the security guys had a list of people that were considered, quote, security personnel who didn't have to walk through the metal detector. And these were just basically shitloads of members of the Bloods. That, could carry guns in there and it was okay. So they were fucking one time they had people waiting out they leaves people waiting a lot. Like he would leave reporters waiting for him and for 2 hours before he let them into the office. And then when they come in, he would, tell them that he'd have his German Shepherd there and he would tell them that it was trained to kill on command and all this type of shit. Like, I can make this dog kill you.
Oh, yeah. Is that your dog there? Yeah. It kills on command. Would you like a drink? What?
I kill it on command. One time he didn't like a question a reporter asked, so he dragged the reporter over to a fish tank filled with piranha and threatened to put his face in there and let the fish eat them, which it wouldn't do, by the way. But still, it sounds scary.
I just learned that.
No, they won't do that.
No?
No, piranha aren't going to eat you alive.
What do they know that they go after?
Small things, things that are damaged, but in a movie, like a cow falls in the water and then bones float up 10 seconds later. No,
it boils.
They'd be like, "Holy shit, that cow's going to crush us! Swim away!" They're still tiny things. They're not stupid. They do have self-preservation.
Yeah,
Think about. Come on.
That makes sense.
So they're working in all these studios at one point. There's a guy named Linwood Stanley. And the building's third floor, Suge noticed a guy named Linwood Stanley there, and he is on the phone using the company phone.
Yeah.
Okay? And on the third floor. He says to him, quote, "Say, blood, don't be on the phone." Okay? So Linwood replied, quote, "Don't be coming at me with that gangbang shit. I'm not from L.A."
Oh.
He's like, I do art shit. I'm not involved in this. I'm a music guy or whatever the fuck. So Linwood's brother, George, who was working with Suge closely or was a producer or something, saw this happening and was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ."
Yeah.
So he intervened, took his brother into the lunchroom. "Sorry about that, Suge. He doesn't know who we are. And, he's just using the phone," and took him in there and had him use the payphone instead.
Yeah.
But about 2 minutes later, Suge comes back in the room, grabs the guy, hangs up his payphone, and points a loaded pistol at him and says, "What's up now?"
Yeah.
And then Suge beat the living shit out of both brothers.
Seems like the answer.
I mean, yeah, that's a huge... I don't even know what to say about that. Then he followed the Stanleys into a studio where he continued to beat them.
Oh, my God.
Until finally ordering them to get down on their knees.
Mm-hmm.
Linwood Stanley refused, so Suge Knight fired off a round into the wall.
Oh,
showing
my.
serious, and then smacked him in the temple with the barrel of the gun as well. So... you got to do that. Then threaten to shoot both of them in the head.
Yeah.
Force them to take their pants off and lay naked on the floor in front of him.
Let me see your butthole.
Let's see that butthole. I got a little Michael Jackson in me. Don't tell me I don't have no musical talent. After he takes Linwood's wallet from his pocket, Suge said he's going to keep his ID, so if he goes to the cops, he could have them and their family members killed.
My God.
So he pulled a Jimmy Conway, like, you may know who we are, but we know who you are.
Right.
But Jimmy Conway did that and then gave the guy $50 in the place of the fucking ID.
P.S. didn't beat the living shit out of him and lay face down naked.
This is he missed that scene of Goodfellas. I feel like he didn't get the whole gist of it.
He felt like the scene needed punching up.
No shit. So the Stanleys end up getting out of there, and they do call the LAPD, and a team of officers storm into the building later on, and people are scrambling around. Everybody's got weed and drugs and guns and every other fucking thing all around this studio. It's a bunch of fucking musicians. So people are locking themselves in closets and shit like that. The Stanley brothers come in with the cops, and they point at Suge and say he did it. And Suge says, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's all bullshit. Until finally one of the brothers finds the bullet embedded in the wall.
Oh, that'll do it.
This is what he fucking shot at us. And the police went, oh, yeah, that's not good. And they arrest Suge at that point. So there's some proof of it. But, they end up getting... David Kenner's there. Johnny Cochran's on his legal defense team for this. They delay the trial for almost 3 years. Wow. It's just pushing it off and all this shit. He's got a ton of houses, Suge. He owns his parents' old place in Compton, which he remodeled and put a 4-car garage on. Jesus. Which is just hilarious.
1,200 square foot house, 4-car garage.
4-car garage, 1,200 square foot garage. So, it's pretty fucking funny. He had a fleet of luxury vehicles for his personal use. He had all sorts of shit here. This is pretty gross. He hosted a Mother's Day celebration for single moms at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel.
Come on over.
Sponsoring Christmas time toy giveaways. Single moms, why don't you come on down, get some toys for your kids, and this dick right here.
Somebody told him,
wow,
single moms means they put out. And he's like, you're damn right they do.
You know what they like? Toys. Fuck roses. Toys. That's what they want. So that's pretty wild, man. Also formed an anti-gang foundation in Compton. Which
that's rich.
Pretty fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
1994 Source Awards come around. This another very famous moment. Dr. Dre and Snoop were, Sweep Album of the Year, Solo Artist of the Year, Producer of the Year, New Solo Artist of the Year. They win all these fucking awards, right? Yeah. And this is the one where, he comes out, Suge comes out to accept an award, and makes the big speech just basically lays down the East Coast, West Coast gauntlet and starts an entire giant thing that lasted for years. He says, quote, any artist out there that want to be an artist and want to stay a star and don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record dancing, come to Death Row. Which is so stupid, but I can't stand Puffy, so that's just funny with him stupid shit dancing around. It's fucking hilarious.
And he's a bad dancer, too.
Oh, dude.
He's so bad.
There's that time after Biggie died, the MTV Music Awards, they had, remember Sting is singing the, I'll Be Missing You thing. Right. He's singing it, and it just starts out with Sting on stage, and it's very somber. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, fucking Puff Daddy
tiny man
comes dancing from the back. And I'm not talking just like dancing up cat. He's like fucking throwing down like
yeah.
And you're like, sir, what are you doing? This is a somber fucking moment.
Are you dancing on a man's grave?
I mean, it's the most joyous dancing I've ever seen. It's not even like subdued. He's just like, like fucking throwing down. I'm like, First of all, it's you're throwing down a Sting singing, which is a strange thing. And second of all, it's about your dead friend.
Right.
Look somber, motherfucker. You're making money off your friend's death. Look sad about it, at least.
Pretend
please.
It hurts, man.
Pretend you're sad, you dick. So, sorry. Anyway, this started the whole thing and all that kind of shit here. Let's see. We should probably do that one, too. I'm trying to... With Suge, you have to pick and choose what to talk about because this could be an 8-part episode if we don't do that. By the way, just to tell everybody, in the next probably 2 months, we're going to do Mike Tyson.
Great.
As an episode. That'll be a 2-parter. Mm-hmm. There's no way to do him.
His life is so rich.
No, his childhood's a whole episode before he even starts fucking boxing. So we don't have time for that in one episode. We'll do it in 2 episodes. We're going to do it pre-Indiana, post-Indiana. We'll call it that. Let's say that. We'll 92. We'll draw or 91, whatever it was there. And we'll go from there. We should do it at Buster Douglas. The Buster Douglas fight should be the end of the first episode, and then we'll go from there. So one of these times there was there's a party and Puffy's there, and the thing is with these music parties, you get a lot of like Suge's people and Puffy's people in the same building at the same time. And they all have like 35-person security teams and that sort of shit. So Suge he has basically with him at this party that Puffy's there with a bunch of security people. He just has Jake the Violator Robles. That's his guy. He's 6 foot tall, 245 pounds, but apparently the toughest motherfucker around. Mm-hmm. He's the guy who replaced Darrell Henley as the new baddest dude around. So
the Violator.
I assume that's parole or probation or some shit or buttholes. I'm not sure what he's violating, but something's bad there.
I imagine it's everything. He just violates.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a big beef this night, and he gets in some sort of altercation. The Violator gets in an altercation with Puffy's cousin, Wolf. Yeah. So the Wolf and the Violator, sounds like a BattleBot showdown, are going to face off here. And apparently there's security gets involved and they say, Puffy and Wolfie and everybody, your crew, you all leave. And they told Suge to stay there for 15 minutes with his people and then leave, whatever. Suge ended up just going outside and leaving. So obviously it escalated again outside. And apparently the Violator here went after Wolf, and Wolf ended up shooting him. Is what ended up happening. So shot the Violator. Mm-hmm. So Jake ended up being shot 3 times in the torso. The Violator, and at that point Suge was pointing at Puffy saying, you had something to do with this, So it's more than just that speech. There was other things that happened that were escalating the situation. And then people back in L.A. heard that, he was protecting Suge and that Puffy tried to put a hit on Suge, and that was what went around on the streets. So it was a whole fucking thing, basically. Puffy said he wouldn't set somebody up. He's like, if I was going to set somebody up, why would I be there? Right. That's stupid, but that was his excuse for it.
Or it's genius.
Yeah, because someone else did it, and you can go, whoa, weird.
Yeah, I didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah, there's another guy here, a guy named Mark Anthony Bell. He worked for Puffy occasionally. They went to high school together. Mm-hmm. He said he'd been contacted shortly after Jake Robles' death by a guy who wouldn't give his name, but promised if Bell cooperated with what they wanted him to do, they'd give him a record deal. Mm-hmm. Okay? He asked what cooperation meant, and they said it means we need the home addresses for Puffy Combs and Puffy Combs' mother.
Oh, that's a hell of a cooperation.
That's a lot of cooperation. And his mom.
Wow.
On top of it. So he said, write these things on a piece of paper, step outside, and drop the paper on the ground, is what he was told. And no one will ever know that it was you. Mm-hmm. This guy insisted he didn't know where Puffy lived, especially didn't know where his fucking mother lived, and he doesn't want to get involved. And he hung up. The guy, I guess, called a couple more times and all that kind of shit. And, so he assumed it was death row people. This Bell guy's in Los Angeles 3 months later on business when he learns that a friend of his got hired to photograph guests at a death row Christmas party. So, he goes ends up going there, and Bell said he called to ask if he could get an invitation to this place, to this party, and they gave it to him, and he said, quote, "I should have known they were setting me up." Probably, yeah, if they wanted you to, quote, cooperate. So he gets there at about 10:30. Suge said Suge and his entourage didn't show up until about 2 a.m. Suge noticed Bell standing around, and he approached him, and he said, quote, "Why didn't you cooperate when you had the chance?" And he said, "I don't have his home address. I don't know that shit. I don't, he said, "I know his business address is in the phone book. That's what I know of him. I don't know shit about him." And so Suge said, "Well, tell you what, why don't you come upstairs to the VIP room and we'll talk about it up there. It's quieter. It's on the dance floor. It's loud down
I can't hear that you don't know anything down here. Let's go up there.
Let's go upstairs." So he said before he had a choice of whether to take it or leave it, he said he was surrounded by 6 people, 2 of which being Dr. Dre and Tupac.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So all of them escort him upstairs to a room where a reporter from MTV and a photographer from the New York Times were hanging out.
Yeah.
And Suge ended up, and his entourage told them to leave, MTV and the New York Times to leave, and all of that sort of shit. And they stationed somebody outside for to be a lookout. Suge pulled up a chair in the middle of the room and, told Bell to sit down, hang out. Everybody else kind of formed a circle around him.
Yeah.
Suge again said, "Why the fuck won't you cooperate? What's going on? Why are you doing this?
Right.
Why are you being so fucking obstinate here?
We're trying to kill people. Can you help?"
Jesus, I'm trying to kill a man's mother. I mean, you're acting like, like you don't want to cooperate. You don't want to help me.
Bitch.
Yeah. So he said also at this time, Tupac was whispering in Suge's ear the whole time. And he also said, quote, "A scary-looking blood whose teeth were covered in gold fronts began to pace back and forth." And he said he just turned around and hit him in the face several times. Bell did. He hit Bell in the face several times, saying, "This is for Jake. We're going to kill you."
Oh, boy.
So finally, Suge stands up, goes to the bathroom, comes back with a champagne flute filled with his urine.
Oh, my.
And he tells Bell to drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bell refuses. He says that the guy with the gold teeth hit him again when he refused. So he said he figured they were going to kill him anyway. So he took the champagne glass and threw it on the floor and broke it as like a distraction. Almost like a smoke bomb, like a spy throwing a smoke bomb down and running away. He threw a piss bomb down. They all went, "Oh, I got piss on my shoes," and then he ran away. So he runs out of the room and there's a balcony. He's on the 2nd floor, but there's a balcony. So he runs toward the balcony and just tries to jump off the balcony. He figures that'll get people's attention if he jumps off a fucking balcony. So he tries to jump off the balcony. Before he does, the group catches up with him and he's trying to jump off and they're trying to pull him back on. And he said that Suge had him by the left shoulder. People are trying to pull him back. He said everybody except Tupac, who was punching on his fingers while he was holding on to the rail, trying to get him to hold off. They're trying to get him to let go. So anyway, they end up beating him up, throwing glasses and shit at him. Suge yelled, "Body blows only." And then the gold teeth guy got him in a chokehold, and they started beating him some more. And then eventually he said he played dead on the floor. They took his wallet, his Rolex, his gold necklace, and his necklace, he said, was worth about $20,000.
Wow.
And they robbed him, and then Suge told him to stand up. And when he got to his feet, Suge, he said that Suge started acting like they were old friends. Put his arm around him, said,
"You're in the gang now.
You can be part of this team.
You jumped in.
Come on, buddy. We're pals. Why'd you make me do this?" Like he did one of those things, like an abusive husband. He said, "I can make you rich. Do you want to make $500,000? Do you have friends that can deliver? Like, do you have rappers? I can make you $500,000.
Oh, boy.
He said that then Suge walked him into the bathroom, told him to clean himself up and all that sort of thing, Then he said he saw a couple of Bloods talking on what appeared to be police radios and getting excited. So this is where this comes in. Suge hires LAPD officers as security guards, off-duty LAPD officers, even though Death Row was most certainly on a list of people that you had to get permission to work for. You couldn't just work for them because they were known as like
organized crime.
they had like a lot of investigations into them for drugs and guns and all that sort of thing. You're not allowed to work there, basically, unless you have special clearance, and they never will let you. And there was guys that were just doing it anyway, a lot of them. And a lot of the guys were from that neighborhood. They were, they would say they were known gang members. Now they're in the LAPD, and they're working for Suge Knight at the same time. So, that was one of the things that this Russell Poole was the cop who, was telling the story, the Labyrinth story. And that was one of the things where every time he'd get anywhere into the case, it would come up to an LAPD person that worked for them, and the LAPD brass didn't want that whistle blown at all, because this was the late 90s. It was post OJ, and the last thing they wanted to be seen as, they'd rather be seen as incompetent than racist at that point. Like, they didn't want it to look like they were, investigating black LAPD officers when, they should have been investigating anybody who's working for death row, whatever their fucking color. It doesn't matter. That's just insane. So, but that was the way it was working out at the time. So, late 90s, the politics were it was just a different thing because of the whole OJ thing. I mean, that really changed in LA. It changed a lot of things. So, anyway, I mean, some things for the better, obviously, too, I think procedures now, after that, I guarantee you, processing shit at murder scenes,
a little more thorough.
Bet you there was some meetings going, hey, don't leave shit in your trunk. Put it in your fucking pocket. Do the shit right. Stop fucking up. This is a goddamn murder investigation. Don't be incompetent twats, please.
Well, we got some of the highest taxes in the country. You need Ziploc baggies? Get Ziploc baggies.
And I'm sure after Rodney King, it was, I don't know if it was stop beating up black people, but it was be fucking way more careful which black people you beat up and when you fucking do it or whatever. I don't know what the fuck it was, but, things change, I guess. So anyway, the cops ended up showing up, and the cops show up, and they're Suge told him, by the way, if you want your jewelry back, call tomorrow and we'll talk about it. And so anyway, he left a few minutes later, and they let him leave a few minutes later, and then a couple of cops showed up because people had called the cops. His friend was downstairs and saw him hanging over the balcony and called the cops. So they show up, and they're asking him, what happened, and like Suge and all of his guys are standing around staring. He's like, nothing, I'm fine. Like, shit like that. He ended up going later on the next day to the Hollywood police station and telling him what happened at the party and all that sort of thing. And he files a complaint of assault and robbery against the 7 men in the VIP room later on. So the district attorney, though, refused to file charges. For some reason.
Evidence.
No, they just looked at it as, I don't know what's going on in there. That's a bunch of whatever those people do. I feel like it was one of those. And I don't know if that's a racial thing mainly, or just those rappers or musicians rappers, or those. I
don't want to be a part of that.
Those people, I don't know what they're doing to each other. That's not my fucking concern. You know what I'm saying? I really feel like that's the way they were looking at it. So Russell Poole said, quote, they didn't want to prosecute because they knew if they charged Suge Knight, he would accuse them of racism. They figured this was all some kind of black shit, and they didn't want to get involved with it.
Makes sense.
That's the long and short of it. So eventually, Mark Dave Anthony Bell filed a civil suit against Suge Knight and Death Record and received a reported $600,000 settlement. Then he moved to Jamaica and just laid low for the rest.
Never see me again.
Never seen him again.
$600,000.
$600,000, moved to Jamaica, lived on the beach.
Nice plan.
That's beautiful, man. He's fucking drinking a drink with an umbrella in it right now.
He's got a job again, though.
Yeah.
$600,000 ain't lasting forever.
No, but it'll get you
a decent place.
It'll get you out of there. Yeah. It'll get you out of your situation anyway. So he also that he couldn't believe, the cop was saying he couldn't believe that Suge Knight would personally expose himself like this. Like, he's in charge of shit.
Right.
You don't. If you're in charge of the criminal empire, you don't show up to do that.
No.
You have people do that.
Which is scarier.
Yeah, but that's what's fun for him. He's not in this just for like the money or whatever. He likes doing this shit. He thinks this is fun. He doesn't want other people to do it and take his joy away.
And take his credit away.
Yeah, it's exactly. I did it, motherfucker. Right. That's what happened. That's what he's looking at. Anyway, through all of this, he again gets away with some shit here. He has the Linwood Stanley incident here. It looked like he's going to get prison time for this, for the Stanley brothers, and trying to attempt to make them drink piss and to shoot near them and all this sort of shit, and smack them around, beat the shit out of them too, hold a gun in their face. So he goes to court for that. He has a lot of money, though, and a lot of good attorneys, and they bring in person after person who praises Suge Knight to the judge and pleads with him to keep. He doesn't belong in prison. He's essential to the community and all of this stuff. And so the Stanley brothers, even the Stanley brothers were testified on his behalf.
Wow.
They recently signed a $1 million contract with Death Row, by the way, before that, which is negotiated by David Kenner.
Kind of a conflict of interest right now.
Also speaking on his behalf was the deputy district attorney assigned to prosecute him.
Wow.
The guy who's prosecuting testified on his behalf.
Pretty good guy.
Telling him he doesn't belong in prison, even though I brought him here on charges that should put him in prison.
He's a real good guy.
This is Lawrence Longo.
Yeah.
He said that Suge had become head of one of the largest record companies in the country that employed numerous residents of Los Angeles County. He said, tell you what about, I know you want to give him 10 years. 9 years, but suspended sentence.
Yeah.
Let's just suspend it. Let's give him another chance.
The prosecution recommends suspending.
The prosecution, with 5 years of probation. I mean, let's give the guy a break here. Now, the judge, who didn't know this at the time, he said, wow, I mean, even the prosecutor thinks this. I mean, this guy must have really cleaned up his act in the last couple of years. I guess we should do this. The only thing that the judge doesn't know, though, is that Longo's 18-year-old daughter, Gina, was signed to be the first white singer with Death Row Records.
Hilarious.
The prosecutor's daughter signed a record contract, and next thing you know, he's a good guy that really shouldn't be in jail.
Everybody wants somebody to be in their family to be famous.
Dude, that's fucking wild. And also, during a couple months later, Suge Knight ends up. Suge Knight moves into a home that the prosecutor owns, and David Kenner pays the prosecutor's family $19,000 a month in rent.
A month?
A month for use of the property.
Holy shit.
In the 90s.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's a big house.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's insane. So any violation of his probation, though, would send him to prison and all of that sort of shit. So he does have to do 30 days in a halfway house that he owed the state from before.
Sure.
So anyway, 30 days later, he's out, and now he wants to get Tupac. And the way he gets Tupac in jail, and all this has been covered in a lot of movies. So the Biggie Tupac stuff, we'll get into it a little bit, but we could do a whole, if you want, we'll do a whole bonus episode on the Biggie Tupac stuff, but that's kind of a whole episode. And I'm happy to do a bonus episode about it because I've read more about it than a human being probably should for mental health reasons. But
it's 100% fascinating, but more frustrating.
It's very frustrating. So we'll stick to kind of, Suge's role. And yes, I think Suge had something to do with at least Tupac's killing and probably Biggie's too. I'm not sure, but we'll do a bonus episode on it. I'll tell you what, sometime in the next few months, we will do a bonus episode on the deaths of Biggie and Tupac, and that'll be fucking amazing. So anyway, Tupac is serving his sentence in Dannemora at this time, and he this is after he got shot and all this shit. Suge is courting him hard. Suge is flying back and forth across the country to go visit Tupac, doing the same thing he did with DOC's mom. Just, I'm the guy who's here. I'm here. And this eventually gets to the point where Tupac agreed that he would, I'll sign with your record company if you can get me the fuck out of jail. So they do. It's $1.4 million bail that Interscope Records puts up. Interscope Records puts up for $1.4 million.
That's a reason to be putting that in songs out on bail, because there's no reason in the world that you should be out on bail.
Out on bail, straight out of jail. Yeah, that's it right there. He's so it's a handwritten contract Tupac signs, and Tupac is there, gets out, stretch limousine waiting, private flight out west, the whole deal, man. So he records songs right away. Tupac had a shitload. They said, but he got on the plane, went to L.A., was in the studio later that day. He was in jail in the morning and in the studio that night,
cranking it out.
4 tracks down that day. He's wow. Tupac was a hustler when it came to work, and that motherfucker worked.
And he was an artist, an actual artist.
His
music was so good.
Yeah, he worked. He wasn't just I'll put this shit out because that's enough to fucking make me some money right now.
I'll fill the album with this. No,
he had a lot of shit. He had a ton of songs.
To say.
Yeah, so he he does all this, and it pays off. All Eyes on Me sold 3 million albums, and it was a big deal. And also the California fucking song really... It's that helped them a lot at that point. They
still play it in every club in L.A.
I know, it's annoying as shit.
It's obnoxious.
So Tupac, though, the whole thing is he needed money. That was his main problem. He's paying a lot of people's bills. He's supporting his mother, his sister.
Yeah.
He's got kids. He's got an aunt, her kids, cousins. He's got all these people that he gives money to.
Yeah.
And, they were talking about he had a girlfriend, and he was talking about moving to Arizona and not doing, like, such hardcore gangster rap and all this type of shit. But doesn't quite work out like that. Tupac, does his thing and signs with Death Row, and that kind of seals his whole fate. Yeah. And I really, really feel like that Tupac, how to put this with him, like he had a fucking... I don't know how to put it with you. I'm sorry. I need to rephrase this so I don't say this. I want to say what I want to say here. This is when he lost his sense of humor.
Yeah.
I feel like Death Row was when he lost his sense of humor.
So it turned him into like just an angry man?
It wasn't fun. He wasn't fun anymore. Mm-hmm. Like his mean shit used to be mean but funny too, and like kind of fun, and like, oh, he's being a dick. Like he had this, but then it got like, you should be scared of me, and it's like, you're like 5'6", $140, bro. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck that you got a tattoo. You went to art school and you're the size of my mom. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, be real, dude. You just did a movie with Janet Jackson. Like, that's awesome, and everyone should want to, I get that's great, but then don't be a fucking gangster the next minute.
Right.
I'm in movies with Janet Jackson. That's great.
Right.
I have a cool career. Don't act like you're...
When you were in Above the Rim, you didn't even play basketball because you're too small for the court.
You're too tiny. You're too tiny. Like, he even, like, he was cast in a role in Menace to Society. Remember Menace to Society?
Yeah.
He ended up getting in a physical altercation with one of the directors because he didn't like the character, because he said they were making him into a punk. I'm like, making you into a punk? It's acting.
Right.
So that type of shit. Get a sense of humor. I know that was before this, but still, that was like 91 or 92 or some shit. So, he said that he liked Death Row because he's not scared, neither of them. And Suge gets a bunch of gold rings, gives them out to everybody, his Member of Blood's rings, the MOB rings, and all this sort of shit. He's, now, Jimmie Iovine, later on, would tell federal investigators that he had no idea that Harry O bankrolled Death Row, up until December 95. He's like, I had no idea about that. How could I know that?
Okay.
So Harry O was threatening Interscope and Time Warner with a lawsuit that demanded a share of the company's profits. Mm-hmm. So, Jesus Christ, what a fucking disaster, man.
Jimmie Iovine pay him?
I don't know if he ended up getting paid or not. I think he did. It would
be smart. It would behoove Jimmie to get some money to him.
Well, in 1995, the head of Time Warner Music Division, Michael Fuchs, tried to get a prison meeting with Harris. Mm-hmm. And Jesus fucking Christ, man. At one point, too, a few of Death Row employees said that Jake Robles and a group of other Bloods showed up at the offices of the record label they had with Interscope and seized the office of Faye Duvernay, the head of Interscope's rap promotion department. And Iovine said, they said Iovine had to know that happened. Like, so he was denying knowing anything, which is pretty fucking ridiculous. So, who is this? This guy, Jesus Christ. Happy Walters is a guy who managed Cypress Hill and House of Pain and guys like that. And he got in a shouting match with Suge over who would appear on a soundtrack album. Business stuff.
Right.
A few days later, he was taking money out of an ATM and he disappeared. He disappeared, and he was found like days later wandering around naked. Disoriented.
That's weird.
And he had like cigarette burns all over him and shit. Like they tortured him for a few days and let him go. Yeah, it's fucking insanity. Loud Records owner Steve Rifkin, who got in a public dispute with Suge also. He's, Loud at Wu-Tang Clan and pieces like that. He said that this guy hired one of Suge's former teammates to be his bodyguard, and all this type of shit. And this guy said that this Rifkin guy wouldn't even take a piss by himself. Yeah, Happy Walters, they said he showed up incoherent, shaved, and naked.
Not shaved.
Shaved. Wandering the streets.
You know what we mean.
When they asked him what happened, he claimed he had amnesia.
I don't want to remember that ever again.
Warren G was scared of him.
Oh, bad.
Warren G made comments to The Source, the magazine, in an interview, and he made comments that he was being robbed of credit on something. And then he called the guy back a couple days later and said, please don't publish my remarks. And they went out anyway, so he bought a bunch of guns and dogs and security systems for his house because he figured Suge Knight would come and fucking attack him.
Turn his pockets
like
inside out and shave him.
And shave him. You never know. Suge says he's an icon, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He says, quote, there are still individuals in this society who can't stand the thought of a young black person with a gang of money in the bank. Well, I'm sure that's true, but also
dangerous ones.
Yeah, you're not the spokesperson for that. No. I don't think many. Yeah, that's not good. But he said, quote, a black brother from Compton creates a company that helps people in the ghetto. So what does the government do? They try to bring him down. Sometimes people get sacrificed when they stand up. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Sometimes they take away your life. Sometimes they take away your freedom. It's sad. He just compared himself.
He thinks he's Malcolm X.
To Martin Luther King. Sir?
What was your I have a dream speech?
Are you out of your fucking mind? I don't know how many people Martin Luther King had beef with, so he tried to make them drink a champagne flute of his piss. Do you think that happened often? I've never heard about it. I'm not sure. I mean, people die and you don't know what happened in their lives, but I don't see Dr. Martin Luther King forcing people to drink piss after he pistol whips them. I just don't see that.
I don't think Martin Luther King likes balconies very much.
I don't think that. I don't. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, Suge, you're the worst example of what you're talking about. The absolute fucking worst example. On one side, yes, you're a young black guy who created this business, which is great, and that's a good thing. But on the other hand, you did it in a way that is not complimentary to young black people starting businesses, because that's not the way you're supposed to start shit. This is the way gangsters start shit.
Martin
Luther
Luther King
good.
Never visited anybody in jail and asked them for the startup business money.
Yeah. Like
a known drug dealer and bad person.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, John Gotti, terrible guy, but he never compared himself to fucking Martin Luther King. You know what I mean? He'd say, I'm a fucking gangster. That's what I do. Yeah, I'm a fucking criminal. Not, hey, they're just trying to persecute Martin Luther King over here. Like, that's wild.
The only thing he has in common with Martin Luther King is that he's black. That's it.
That is wild.
Nothing else.
That's balls, man. So anyway, he is one guy.
Is that how Suge pushed his success?
Yes.
That was to speak for black people.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to. Wow.
He had politicians. Maxine Waters was speaking about what an important person he was.
He had
to
be culturally relevant.
Oprah was saying he was a good guy and this is what we need more of. Because on the surface, if you didn't know all of this shit, it just looks great. It looks like a guy who came from nowhere, washed out of football.
Cigars.
Yeah, and now he's fucking got this thing, and he's got his friends that he's helping and lifting up and got them out of these corrupt contracts, and now they're making all this money. It looks great on the surface. Then you go, holy shit, that's how it happened?
He's a monster.
That is terrible. That's not how... No.
American business.
That's how the Lucchese family started, not, American Express. This is fucking nuts. So, anyway, there's one guy named RBX. There's this guy, RBX, and he was a death row rapper, and he's a big, giant motherfucker as well. And apparently he got in a beef with Suge. It was at a theater. Suge became mad when RBX ate some fried chicken that Suge had ordered for his friends.
Oh, no.
Okay, now... RBX stayed. Apparently, Suge got in his face, and RBX said, "Fuck you, bring it then, bitch. I'm not afraid of you, motherfucker." He's a big giant guy too, and so Knight pulled out a pistol and handed it to one of his friends, and he said, "Quote: this is RBX, and if I whoop your ass, this guy's going to shoot me." Mm-hmm. So apparently, Snoop Dogg reminded Suge that RBX was his cousin.
Oh.
So please don't shoot him.
Yeah.
Maybe let this go.
Right.
Don't shoot your top-selling artist's cousin, probably. That's not a good business move. Again, not smart. So that's what ended up happening, and that was like a big deal. Though everybody was like, "Oh shit, that guy stood up to Suge." It was it was a big deal. It Suge didn't like that at all. He probably fantasized about fucking with him forever.
Yeah.
It's at this point where Dre wants to branch out on his own and get away from Suge. And Suge harasses Dre, phoning his house, telling him to surrender the master tapes and all that shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it gets to that point. He said, Suge told the Source magazine later on, quote, "Finally, I sent somebody over to Dre's house to get the masters." He said that Dre wouldn't open the door, so he went over himself. He said, "I come through the gate, see motherfuckers running and hiding." He says, I played it cool. He said, "I played a couple games of pool, got my shit and left," because I guess people called the cops on him. Mm-hmm. So Dre said it was different. He said somebody rang his bell claiming to be Jimmie Iovine. When he opened the door, he says, quote, "Suge comes in with 8 or 9 N-words. Suge said, 'We trying to get the tapes.'" And he told the Suge that the tapes were being copied at the moment, and Suge said he would wait. And, sat there and was muscling him basically. So anyway, Dre just wanted out of the whole fucking thing. He just couldn't stand being around Suge anymore.
Yeah.
He didn't like Biggie. He wanted it to be more quiet basically.
Yeah.
And
I want to sell headphones, man. I want to do shit where I don't have to do anything and make money.
He's a music guy.
Yeah.
He's not he doesn't care about all his gangster shit. Right. He's he likes to go in the studio and make beats. Yeah. That's what he does. He doesn't care who's armed and all that shit.
Once he gets to do it funny and make fun of Eazy-E in the video.
Yeah, exactly. So 95, Suge has to plead guilty to a felony for armed robbery and assault with a firearm for the one incident we discussed here. May 14th, 1995. What happens here? Oh, yeah, okay. The El Rey Theater in the Wilshire district here. Soul Train Records Award after party.
Oh, yeah.
3 uniformed LAPD officers get called to the El Rey when a fight breaks out. They were standing on a sidewalk under a sign that read "Death Row Private Party, Guest Lists Only." They hear shit going on, so one of the 3 turned and saw a guy named Kelly Jamerson get hit in the head by a beer bottle. At the time. So then they watched as a crowd of about a dozen guys surrounded this Jamerson and, quote, began kicking and hitting the victim on all areas of his body, according to the police report. By the time they reached Jamerson, he was dying. He had a brain hemorrhage. He ended up dying. They said approximately 400 people exited the theater as they attempted to protect the victim. Many were intoxicated, failing to comply with instructions to remain where they were, to get witness statements and everything like that. Everybody just took off. So he said that they do some poking around. A bartender said he saw Jamerson arguing with 4 black males. Bartender believed that one of the suspects was a member of the Death Row Records company. They described him as a black male, 6'4", 390 pounds, with short hair cut into an angle. This isn't Suge. He also said that he observed the suspect remove a Miller beer bottle from the counter and strike him on the head with it. Yeah. The party was supposed to be a, quote, classy affair. They said a lot of strippers wearing glitter and G-strings and all that sort of shit.
Classy as fuck.
Very, very classy.
Yeah.
Apparently, this guy got knocked around a little bit, and then DJ Quick jumped in. He initiated the second attack on Jamerson, apparently. DJ Quick was the one who started this. They had tons of witnesses saying that DJ Quick was hitting him and kicking him and all this shit, saying, "We're going to kill this motherfucker," and they didn't press any charges on him at all. Yeah, it's interesting. That's, I would say. So everybody there said DJ Quick started this shit. Everybody DJ Quick started the physical shit, definitely. He was the first one to physically attack Kelly Jamerson, according to the witness, striking him with both a chair and a champagne bottle before joining the others and stomping him after he fell to the ground.
Champagne bottle? Those
Champagne.
Are thick as fuck.
Yeah, that's crazy. They said that he grabbed him by the shoulder. Somebody said he grabbed DJ Quick by the shoulder during the attack to try to pull him away. Quote, but, quote, DJ kept on like he didn't hear a word I said. The police tried to convince the witness to give his name and to actually testify, and he said he wouldn't testify. He said, quote, "If they knew I was talking to you, they might kill my whole family. You police do not realize how powerful Suge Knight is. Going up against Suge or any of his people is like going up against the mafia. It's a death sentence."
Yeah.
Which, Suge makes it really seem like that. They also, DJ Quick, they had a lot of witness cases against. They had another guy who had been seen leaving the El Rey Theater missing a shoe, which happens when you stomp somebody with it.
Yeah.
A lot of people there. It's pretty fucked up, man. A lot of people see this happening and no one ever gets charged for it.
Wow.
Like, that's wild.
Dead man with nothing.
If that's somebody in your family and a bunch of people watched him get stomped by a shitload of people and not one person gets fucking charged, you'd be angry with that shit, man. You'd be pissed off.
That many people in a room and nobody saw anything.
Nobody saw anything, man. It was crazy shit. People did see shit and they didn't charge them anyway. You'd be mad at the cops. That's what I'm saying. They didn't fucking charge. I'd be like, let's see, if 9 people all say they saw DJ Quick beating him with a champagne bottle, let's start with him. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
How about that? So before Death Row, Suge was making a bunch of money from dealing drugs, obviously. Police task force members say that he used to steal drugs from Mexican suppliers.
Really?
He used to rob people of drugs as well. So he had that going on. They also said that there's Death Row for a while was being used as a clearinghouse for the transport of cocaine from the West Coast to the East Coast by members of the Bloods gang as well. They'd bring a kilo for $18.5 from LA to New York, and they'd sell it in New York for $26,000.
Incredible.
So quick profit there. So, 1996, that's alleged by the Drug Task Force people. That's never charged or anything. And alleged against DJ Quick, too, because they never charged that shit. So, he, in 96, he said he's going to open an East Coast division of Death Row Records.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. So, going to do that shit. Let's see. What is this one here? Okay, never mind that. We'll go past that. Suge in Vegas, he gets a big place in Vegas, 5,200 square foot.
Hell yeah.
Giant place. It was Mike Tyson, or I'm sorry, it was 2 doors down from Mike Tyson at the time, over an acre, borders a golf course. You might recognize the house, actually, because it's the house in Casino that the federal agents land the plane on the golf course while Pesci and De Niro are talking.
That's Suge Knight's house.
That's Suge Knight's house. He lives in that house.
Suge Knight's house was Jimmie's house in Casino.
It was, Lefty Rosenthal's house.
Hilarious.
It was fucking Robert De Niro's house. He wore a 7-carat diamond in his ear, which is
that's a lot.
Pretty fucking badass. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. He painted the bottom of his swimming pool blood red as well, which is a strange thing to do to your swimming pool.
Yeah.
Now, Tupac eventually wants out of Death Row. Okay, he's got a new girlfriend, a fiance, as a matter of fact, Kidada Jones, who does her own shit, and she also is the daughter of Quincy Jones.
Okay,
so who owns Vibe. So he's now getting some good advice from some smart business people like Quincy fucking Jones, who's a very smart businessman.
What's the lady's name?
Kidada Jones.
Kidada is Rashida's sister.
Has
maybe,
to be,
right?
If it's Quincy's daughter, So
that's fascinating.
Definitely. So
Rashida was almost Tupac's sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I was going to be there. They were fiance.
That is wild.
Kidada said he wasn't hanging out at strip clubs anymore. He he took up cooking. He liked Tupac cooking at home with. Right now,
I want that TV show,
dude. If Tupac, was alive and had a cooking show,
he'd be destroying.
He would be crushing. Fucking crushing, dude.
He would have his own spices.
Think about it. He would be living Snoop Dogg's life. Like, this
Tupac
is great.
Rib rubs.
All you had to do is survive the 90s, and then you can just do shit, hang out with like Martha Stewart and smoke weed and shit. Everybody will like you. He owed Death Row some records, but he said that he wanted to get the fuck out of there. He maybe wanted to have a kid. He wanted to chill out. September 7th, 96 is the Tyson Seldon fight at the MGM where Tupac gets shot.
Yeah.
And like I said, to get into the details of it, Tupac was mad at, we won't get into the shooting part, but Tupac was mad at Suge because he had to wait. Tupac had to wait to go into the fight because Suge had the tickets. So he had to stand there.
Yeah.
While at the gate where people are going in and wait for Suge.
That's Tupac Shakur.
Yeah, as people are like going in, hey, it's Tupac. Why don't you come inside? Like, I don't have my tickets. Like, he's got to stand there like a fucking idiot. And he was telling his friend, fuck this shit. Every time we go somewhere, he's always fucking late. I didn't want to come to Vegas anyway. Now we're going to miss the fucking fight. Because Tupac didn't want to come to Vegas. Like, Suge had to convince him, come to Vegas. It's good, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, there was the big fight in the casino that we've all seen the surveillance footage of with, Suge coming and kicking him, and then later on saying he was trying to help him up in court. I helped him up with my foot by pushing him to the ground by his face. You know how that goes. It's the way you help people, right? I'm dyslexic. I told
him, bite the Timberland. It's strong. I'll lift you up.
I'll pull you out of there. It's like quicksand, I thought. That's all I had. I didn't have a stick with me, or I would have hit him with that and hoped he grabbed on.
It was quicksand.
That's how it goes.
Hilarious.
So this is Orlando Anderson. They had beef with him the week before outside of a Foot Locker store by the Lakewood Mall. He also snatched a death row medallion off of somebody. And
why would you do that?
To sell it, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, Tupac was the one who threw the first punch at this guy and all that kind of shit. After that, he drove out. They're in the BMW. He gets shot with a .40 caliber Glock, and the way they secured that scene was dog shit.
Yeah.
They basically came up on the scene, treated Tupac and Suge like they were criminals, the bicycle cops, rather than actually going, oh shit, there's a shot person, let's secure the scene and get him medical attention. They made sure that Suge was detained and everything first before they help a bleeding person and get any fucking people there.
Unbelievable.
They fucked everything up. They let the crime scene in the street deteriorate, the original shooting scene, because they drove away from it. So they let that was just an open intersection. There's people driving over shell casings and shit.
Jesus.
Piece of shit police work this really was. This was handled horribly by them. Absolutely terribly. So anyway, he ends up, instead of calling 911 after the shooting, Suge made a U-turn against the oncoming traffic and trying to avoid collisions with people, and ended up pulling over to the side of the road.
Yeah.
And that's what ended up happening. 2 bicycle cops heard the shots and gave chase, and the cars had its tires shot out, so the cops were able to catch up to it, and that's how that ended up happening.
And it hit the fucking median and blew out a couple, too.
Yeah.
Just a bad scene, man.
The cops approached with guns drawn and ordered him out of the car. So Suge is getting out going, fucking dude's shot in there. Anyway, Suge will, from this whole thing, Tupac will end up obviously dying.
Yeah.
From this whole thing, he won't cooperate with the police at all either on it, which is kind of just a gangster thing.
Yeah.
But his lawyer, David Kenner, promises the Vegas police that he's going to show up for questioning, but he doesn't.
Wow.
Shit like that. You know what I mean? For a long time, and to this day, he will say, I didn't do anything to it. I got shot in the head.
Yeah.
He had a scratch on his head
right.
that the medical people said there was a scratch on his head, maybe from glass that broke, maybe scratched him on the head, or he took his fingernails, but it's not a bullet.
Right.
It's not a fucking graze from a bullet. Right. And he said, I got shot in the head. He went as far in an interview to say he still has a bullet lodged in his head, lodged in there. So that's his way of saying, I'm obviously innocent. So this is fucking crazy. So after all of this, though, it was captured on videotape, and since he won't come in for questioning or anything like that, the DA's office decided to argue that Knight's participation in the beating is a violation of his probation, suspended sentence, all that kind of shit. And that's how it ended up going. This judge sends him to county, sends him to county for failing a court-ordered drug test. And now they're having all these motions to revoke his probation, scheduled in February of 1997 later on. So he is fucked at this point. He is in deep shit. And once he gets out of county, I mean, he's just pacing his one of his mansions. He's got an Encino mansion he likes to hang out in. He's pacing his mansion. Place. He just bought it, though, and it's not red enough is his problem. He's like, I like this place, but it's still... It's got like the Southwest thing. It's not, I'd like more red in here.
Yeah.
I called the guy, and then he came and knocked on the door, and it's Dexter Manley, interior designer from New York City. And he says, how is it you've come to arrive here? Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Champagne flutes of piss? Sir, you, sir, are white trash.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Everything you're doing, this is all very trashy. It's trashy. It just is. I'm very disappointed because I could do a lot with this place. You have a lot of money. It's beautiful. The architecture's nice, but I don't know what you're thinking. Oh no. I'm going to have to let him in. I'm sorry. You're giant. You're aggressive. You're exactly what he like. You're insane. I'm sorry. Let me in there. Okay, Vince, I'm coming. I'm just open the door. I'm going to open the door for him. I'm sorry. Here he is, Vince. I know I'm sorry. I'll look around. I'll measure the windows. And you can talk to him. Oh, my God. Look at you. Yeah. Oh, my God. You're huge. With your head, it's so bald. Look at you, your arms, you're gigantic. Do me a favor. I'm getting very excited. Put these overalls on.
Yeah.
Just put them on. I want to look for just a second. Get that shirt off. Come on. Put these. No. I changed my mind. No, not these overalls. We're gonna make you. We're gonna do like we did with Tony Atlas in the early '90s. We're gonna dress you. You speak no English. We're gonna act like you're from the jungles of Africa, and you don't know what you're doing. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give you like a Kamala gimmick, like from the '80s. That's what you're gonna get right there. Oh, I can see it right. Vince, you're getting carried away. Vince, don't interrupt me when I'm on a roll. I'm creating characters.
Yeah, but Vince, put your cock away.
I'll take him away. It's okay. I'm sorry. I'm your white trash, but I'm sorry. I have to go now. No, give me to him. But take your shirt off, please. And poof.
Yeah.
In a cloud of feathers and 1099s, he's gone, and both men are gone. And Suge he didn't have time to get his gun out. He was so confused by the whole thing. He didn't know what happened there. So Suge got stopped by the police at one point here in Beverly Hills with a gun in his glove compartment.
That's bad.
That he purchased illegally also from a gang guy. So that's not great. He's convicted of transporting a gun across state lines, but he wins a probation in federal court somehow. He gets out of
Federal court?
Federal court.
Jesus.
At the same time, though, the U.S. Justice Department organized a multi-agency task force to investigate claims that Suge and Death Row were trafficking both drugs and guns at that point. This is things once Tupac gets shot, things start to get a little less. Starts to be a little less cool to be with Suge Knight. At one point, they have Primetime Live on ABC starts out their broadcast with, "Some say he's the most dangerous man in music." Now it's like that rather than just he's the American dream.
Right.
He goes to court for the MGM melee in February '97 for his probation revoking hearing here. Orlando Anderson is now testifying for him, saying that Knight was trying to play the peacemaker.
Wow.
I'm sure he paid him off.
Yeah.
And he said, quote, "I seen him pulling people off me." He described Suge as the only one yelling, "Stop this stuff." Hey, stop all this stuff now. This is ridiculous. You're acting like children.
Yeah.
Suge.
Come on, guys.
We've just heard 2 hours and 20 minutes of Suge. Does it sound like the type of guy that'll go, "Come on, stop this stuff" when violence is happening? He might go, "Not in the face." That might be it.
Body blows only.
Body blows only. Who needs phone books? He's passing out yellow pages. Jesus fucking Christ, man. So, yeah, that's goddamn wild. The judge, though, he says that he saw Suge kick Anderson 3 times. He goes, "I don't know, that's a weird way to help somebody." Yeah. So also there's psychologists involved in this. And the judge rules that he was an active participant. But before the final ruling, David Kenner produces a psychiatrist that gets paid $250 an hour to tell the court that he strongly disagrees with the probation department's report that claimed that Suge was, quote, criminally oriented. Doesn't believe it. He said that the psychologist said he's a socially active, concerned citizen of the community who displays neither a propensity for violence nor what he would describe as antisocial behavior. Okay. He says, quote, he's not a dangerous person.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, he's really good. Suge, though, he says to the judge, quote, "I definitely don't want to do my life behind bars. But if it's more positive for the community by me being incarcerated, then I'm willing to sacrifice myself."
Because now I'm Jesus.
I'm willing to you don't have a choice.
Right.
He's acting like, I know I could say I don't want to go to jail and you'll let me go, but if it's better for the young black children of the community, I'll happily sacrifice myself.
I'll die for their sins.
Fucking idiot. So the judge replies with a recitation of his fucking criminal history, all of his shit that he's done. he's pled, we've gone over it, lots of shit like that. He rules that Suge should be detained for 90-day diagnostic examination, then returned to the court in May to be sentenced to prison. 2 weeks later, Biggie gets shot too, and killed in L.A., obviously. And we'll go over all of that in the other episode there, because that really doesn't, Suge wasn't there for that, even though he,
he's there for that.
Yeah. Also, there's this Kevin Gaines guy. We got to go over this quickly, because Kevin Gaines is a guy who, that police connection that I gave you, Kevin Gaines is the personification of it. Kevin Gaines is a guy who gets shot to death by another cop in a road rage incident. They have all the video footage of it. Kevin Gaines basically looked like he pulled a fucking gun on somebody in traffic and then followed him quickly and with his gun out, trying to attack the guy in a parking lot. So this other guy shot him. Turns out they were both undercover cops.
Wow.
Gaines, though, wasn't working at the time, and Gaines had gone off into a whole other thing. He was working for Suge Knight.
Training day shit.
He's living with Sharitha Knight.
Oh, no.
He's hooked up with Sharitha Knight, and he's living with him and getting paid by Suge Knight. He has all these exotic cars and all this shit. Like, he's definitely into some shit, basically.
Yeah.
And they won't let that be investigated, essentially, is what happened.
Yeah.
And Sharitha Knight tells a story about Kevin Gaines at one point saving her life, because Kevin, I guess, did some security work for Death Row. At one point, Sharitha and Suge were having problems, so Suge got in the car with Sharitha and Kevin Gaines and made Kevin drive out to the desert, and then basically was threatening to kill him before Kevin showed him his gun and his badge. And she was like, he's a fucking LAPD. You're not going to kill an LAPD officer in the desert, and he's got a gun too. So, what the fuck's up, basically. Yeah. So anyway, he ended up working for him sometime, and all that sort of shit. Sharitha was working as Snoop Dogg's manager at the time, and Gaines was working as his bodyguard. So that's how that kind of worked. And Sharitha they said in his pay stub, it said Sharitha from Marion Knight, monthly allowance $10,000. She was giving him $10,000. That's pretty fucking wild. They also found betting stubs from Vegas, a bunch of shit like that. In his real estate documents, he also had 8x10 glossies of Suge and Tupac, and they were also taped up to the back wall of his locker, which is pretty fucking.
This is a big fan.
Big fucking fan here. So that's fucking interesting. 2001, he's finally released after serving 5 years in prison. He has to serve the rest of his shit there. As part of his parole conditions, he's not allowed to make contact with Dr. Dre. That's part of it, which is funny. So 2002, he has a confrontation with Snoop at the BET Awards. And which is fucking hilarious. December 2002, he's arrested for violating his probation after moving to Malibu without notifying his parole officer. He's also found to be consorting with known gang members and sent to jail for 61 days. 2003, he punches a parking lot valet outside a nightclub in Los Angeles. Serves 10 months for that offense. Holy shit. 2005, stopped for an illegal U-turn. They find weed in his car, which who cares? And it's in California. It's fucking legal now. He's found to have violated his parole, and he's jailed for a week and placed under house arrest for 2 months. Also 2005, he goes to a big party for Kanye West here in Miami. It's a party to honor Kanye West here. And according to the police, Knight is shot in the right leg around 12:42 a.m.
Oh, it's all downhill.
Witnesses said at least 6 shots were fired, and Miami firefighters evacuated the club. He had a fractured leg. He's taken to the hospital. And they said they haven't turned up any suspects, but they're trying to find them. Eddie Murphy, Paris Hilton, Jessica Alba were all at the party, which is fucking hilarious.
Paris Hilton is at a party where shots are fired.
Yeah, they weren't searching famous. No one's searching Eddie Murphy at the door. He's fucking Eddie Murphy. You hope he's got a 45 in his back like Beverly Hills Cop. You hope he does. You want him to have that. So, they said the guy who shot him was described as a black man wearing a pink shirt. That's all they have. So,
in Miami.
they said,
best of luck finding that guy.
Everybody. We don't have any physical description. We don't know how many subjects were involved, which is mind-boggling with all those people around. That's what the police spokesman said. So, yeah, shot there. That's pretty fucking insane, I would say. But the problem is people fled the party. They think that Suge shot himself.
Oh?
They think he pulled a Plaxico Burress and accidentally shot himself.
Hilarious.
That's why there's no description. It's a black guy in a pink shirt, and nobody saw anything because he might have shot himself in the leg, and he's on probation or parole or whatever. He's not supposed to have a gun, so he has to say someone shot him. They said they never were able to recover any shell casings, so they thought maybe it was self-inflicted, which is pretty fucking funny. Yeah. They said also shell casing could have got lost in a crowd stampede. Sure. Who the hell knows? So Suge sues Kanye for this, though. It's fucking hilarious.
Shot, Kanye.
Yep. No one ever got arrested. He had more than $200,000 in medical bills, and he lost one of his earrings that was worth a shitload of money during the incident. So they claim West and the nightclub provided insufficient security for the event. It was a pre-MTV Music Video Awards event.
Pre-show? What?
Come on. And Knight seeks damages well over $1 million. Jesus.
And he's suing Yeezy.
2006, maybe this explains it. 2006, Knight files for bankruptcy.
Oh, that's why.
And declares both himself and Death Row Records bankrupt.
Wow.
Claims debts of more than $100 million for Death Row. $107 million to be exact is the motion in civil court. So that's a lot.
In debt.
So he basically has to give up the company. There was a hearing that he wasn't even present for. In 2008.
Late to everything.
Yeah, 2008, he's knocked out cold for 3 minutes during an altercation in a nightclub. Just a big fat lump of shit on the ground. Just absolutely cold as fuck.
When you wake up from that, you got to go, I guess my time is over.
I guess it's over
now.
now.
I've been shot and knocked out. I think I'm done.
It's I think I need to go start learning how to cook.
Yeah.
I think to follow Tupac's example. He's there, and apparently this was over money, some sort of thing. I don't know what the fuck it was, but he got knocked out.
He asked for $1.
Yeah, you got any money? Where's my money? Later in the year, he's arrested on drug and aggravated assault charges when Metro Police spot him punching a naked woman with one hand while clutching a knife in the other.
Oh, my God.
So he's holding a knife and punching a naked woman. He's just deciding whether he wants to stab or punch. But she's naked, dude.
Thankfully chose the right one in that.
It's better than the other.
Yeah.
So he's charged with felony assault with a deadly weapon, drug possession, and domestic violence. 2009, he sustains face injuries after being punched twice by Akon's business manager, Robert L. Carnes Jr., during an altercation at the W Hotel in Scottsdale.
Awesome.
During the NBA All-Star Weekend. It was a middle-of-the-night fight, and landed him in the hospital. 2 people ended up getting arrested for that.
Really?
That weren't him, which is amazing. They called about 3:30 a.m. Imagine all the fucking Scottsdale golfers at the W who were like, what's happening here?
I think that W's in Old Town, too. That's
Probably.
that one over there by,
I'm
over
sure.
on Stetson.
I'm sure it fucking was. So they end up auctioning off shitload of Death Row stuff.
Yeah.
They have a big Death Row auction, which is it's just like a big swap meet where people walked through and picked up whatever they had, posters and CDs and everything.
That's awesome.
They ended up, one was the electric chair.
Yeah.
There, the electric chair, $2,500 it went for.
That's a deal.
That's pretty goddamn cool, the Death Row electric chair. And some guy said he was going to put it in his office in his business. He said, quote, "My guys are going to be really surprised tomorrow."
I want to know who that guy is.
Over 600 items were auctioned off, including CDs and records and shit like that. They were selling CDs for 20 cents.
Wow.
Just whatever the fuck. Just get it out of here. Posters, a jacket. I know one of, Snoop Dogg's jacket, I think, was there. Let's see here. A Bible belonging to Suge Knight went for $325. Wow. An MTV award.
An actual award.
Actual MTV award for Snoop Dogg's best rap video sold for $1,500.
Unbelievable.
That is awesome. That's so fucking cool.
We could have had that.
That's really cool.
I'd put that on a credit card in a minute.
I would pay that off.
Absolutely.
I would make payments on that shit. That's cool. That's worth it.
Oh, that's so rad.
So 2012, he's arrested for marijuana possession while driving with a suspended license.
That's not good.
And while they had him pulled over, they found multiple outstanding warrants for previous violations. He's placed on 3 years of unsupervised probation for that.
He's in so much trouble.
He's just a mess. 2014, Dr. Dre sues Suge Knight and Death Row Records for $3.05 million in unpaid royalties for the music he worked on while Suge Knight was leading the label. Dre claims the company owes him $1.2 million in royalties, $1.1 million in digital sales, and $676,000 in unpaid mechanical royalties.
Holy shit.
Wow. He's also shot again. From coast to coast, baby.
God damn it.
He's shot at a West Hollywood pre-MTV VMAs party.
Yeah.
Don't go to any pre-parties for MTV Awards. Stop doing it.
Going to the pre-party.
Fuck. I guess that's where parties go.
Yeah.
This time the party was hosted by who? Chris Brown.
Yeah.
You got to expect to get shot at a party hosted by Chris Brown.
There's going to be some violence there.
Yes. Apparently they shot at him 6 times.
Wow.
He had to have surgery. Again, refuses to cooperate with law enforcement. So it's not just Tupac. You can't use his... You can say he's involved for a lot of other reasons, but you can't use his refusal to cooperate with the cops on the Tupac killing as evidence that he was involved. Because even when he gets shot, he won't tell you who shot him. And if he gets punched, he won't tell you who fucking punched him. He got shot 6 fucking times and wouldn't say shit to anybody about it. So that's something. He was so disoriented after he got shot. He was asking people, I was shot? He didn't know what the fuck was going on.
6 times, Suge.
So, yeah, a lot, Suge. Yeah, you're very fat. It's okay.
You are super shot right now.
Oh, man. Next up, he's hanging out with Cat Williams, and he's arrested in Las Vegas for second-degree robbery and driving with a suspended license. It was Knight and Cat Williams suspected in a Beverly Hills robbery in which they allegedly stole a camera and inflicted minor injuries on a paparazzi.
That is an odd couple.
That's a funny couple. The biggest, fattest man and the skinniest little man in the world.
That is a fun buddy cop movie.
Oh, that would be hilarious. I'd love to see that. The DA said that each of them was charged with 1 count of robbery. It involved a female photographer who was taking pictures of celebrities. Good
Stop it.
God. 2015, he is arrested on suspicion of murder over a fatal hit-and-run incident that left a person dead. And this was the one that you can see footage of it on YouTube of him backing over a man.
It's bad.
And then driving over again and driving away.
It's so bad.
It's bad shit. He's later hospitalized for a blood clot at that point, too. He turns himself in. He has a blood clot. He ran over a guy. He's having a bad time. It's Terry Carter is the man that he murdered, that he ran over and murdered, let's say, because he got convicted of it. An attempted murder of Clee Bone Sloan, who was maimed after he was also struck with the car. Suge Knight collapses in court on March 20th during a hearing after learning that his bail is set at $25 million. Wow.
That is shocking.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
Since then, they lowered it to $10 million, though, which is still a shitload.
He's bankrupt.
They're selling off his electric chair. The video of the incident shows the truck was being driven by night. It pulls into the entrance of a Compton restaurant near the site. It's near the set of the movie. He was showing up to do that, to hang out there. The driver is approached by Sloan, who's a security guard. It's Suge driving. They talk for a few seconds while Knight's still in the vehicle. Suddenly, Suge backs up, knocks Sloan to the ground. While still in reverse, he moves out of the range of security camera, then zooms forward, then backs into camera range, running over him a second time. Then he hit the other guy, Carter. He's a former rap label music owner, and hits him. And he ends up killing Carter, but Sloan ends up being run over a couple times. So the defense previously argued that Knight was defending himself because Sloan had a gun. He was the security guard in the parking lot. He's supposed to have a gun. Right. Yeah, so that's what that has. So you run him over. So the bail gets lowered to $10 million, like we said. That doesn't help any, though. Awaiting his murder trial, he fires his lawyer based on a suspected leak from his legal team to the prosecutor, which is he replaces him with a guy named Stephen L. Schwartz, who's known for his representation of Michael Jackson during his child molestation cases.
Perfect.
Great. Yeah. This is just a fucking dream team. So 2017, he's back in the hospital for blood clots again. He's facing murder charges, blood clots. He's been in solitary confinement and everything else. He's all sorts of shit going on. 2017, he threatens F. Gary Gray, who is involved in the Straight Outta Compton movie here. He threatens he gets arrested for threatening to commit a crime which would result in death and great bodily injury to Felix Gary Gray, according to the indictment.
Yeah.
Apparently, Knight's lawyer read the whole thing, and he said that he didn't think it was there's no meaning to this. This is ridiculous. So his trial comes around in 2018, and it's about to start. This is also charged with conspiracy to commit subordination of perjury, conspiracy to commit obstruction of justice, and accessory after the fact to a felony. His lawyer that he fired attempted to pay off witnesses. I'm sorry, it was Fletcher's the Matthew Fletcher. That's the other guy. Matthew Fletcher here, his lawyer, was apparently trying to pay witnesses. It would take $20,000 to $25,000 to secure his freedom. He told Suge Knight, basically, you give me $20,000 to $25,000, I'll pay some witnesses off. So the indictment says that Fletcher suggested tonight that the surviving victim could be those paid off for the testimony, say that the guy was threatening Suge and all that shit. So this all sounds terrible. Yeah. He's trying to bribe witnesses now, too. So September 21st, 2018, he says, fuck it, and pleads guilty. Yeah. He's going away forever otherwise. Yeah. He's looking at, life.
Life, yeah.
Yeah, he's fucked. So he's scheduled to be sentenced here. The prosecutors are calling for 28 years in prison is what he's looking at. That's what it is. And they said 2 other criminal cases will be dismissed because he pleaded on the murder charge. The judge says, you, sir, may fuck off. 28 years in prison.
All of them.
Banged him for it. I mean, if not him, who?
Yeah.
He's got every record of violence there is.
Yeah.
You let him out, he'll do something violent. A judge also affirmed a $107 million judgment against Suge Knight and Death Row Records as well. That's the one that was being litigated since 2005.
Right.
So that's all being appealed. Now it's over. He's also on the hook for that. What is this? Oh, yeah. Over the objection of Lydia Harris, who is Harry O's wife, right, who obtained the original judgment and later agreed with Knight that it should be voided. He said this is the judge said this is a very old case with big names and big numbers. And so at this point, he's in jail for life. Yeah. He owes people untold amounts of millions of dollars.
Boy.
He's got blood clots, and he shoots himself and gets knocked out all the time. It's not the same.
2015 Suge is not 1995
It is not 92 Suge.
20 years can really take its toll on you.
Ruins you. You can't be the same person forever. That's the thing. You got to chill the fuck out and go behind the scenes at some point here. So
be happy with what you got.
No shit. Yeah. So that is Suge Knight. And like we said, we could go into a little more detail with an extra hour here than we had on the virtual live show. And we will do a bonus episode at some point for Biggie and Tupac. Some point very soon. Maybe that'll be not the one coming up, but the next Crime and Sports bonus after that. So that'll be Biggie and Tupac. But we hope you like Suge Knight and that crazy-ass story.
What a life.
That could have been a 2-parter, too, if I'm being honest here. That we could have gotten the details on some shit that could have made it very long. So we hope you enjoyed that, because we enjoyed the story.
I can't believe it.
It's fucking one of the craziest stories we've ever done.
I can't believe that guy's life is so interesting.
It's wild, man. Well, you should tell us about what you think of it, though. Tell us how wild it is. Go on Apple Podcasts, that purple icon. It does help us out a lot. We don't know why, but it does help. So get on there and help us out. Also, follow us on social media at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on, Instagram. Yeah. And then I was thinking of the next thing already. Upside Down Digital Network.
Yes.
Check out the new shows. Of course, Game of Crimes, which is rolling along. They're cranking out some good shows over there, too. But also this Friday, premiering July 9th, wherever you listen to podcasts, Life After Happy Face with Melissa Moore and Dr. Laura Petler. And these ladies know murder stuff. Yeah. Let's just tell you that. They know They know things. This show is going to be unique. It's going to be different than every other show out there, and that's what's going to make it amazing.
And what makes it unique is the goddamn perspectives of both of these ladies.
Yeah, they have a personal perspective on this like nobody else. One, it's clinical. She's one of the best doctors for this there are in the country, and then one obviously has a completely unique view on this whole thing, with her father being a serial killer.
She wishes it wasn't.
Exactly. So you got to hear it. We can't wait for it to come out. So this Friday, July 9th, Life After Happy Face. Subscribe everywhere. Patreon.com/crimeinsports is where you want to be. Order it up. You get access to both shows, Patreon, and you'll want to hear all of them, too. It's not like specific to the shows that we do here. Matter of fact, this week on patreon.com/crimeinsports, the Crime and Sports bonus will be about drugs in sports, because people think it's a new thing.
No.
They're mad at Barry Bonds when they don't realize that there's been doping shit since they made the rules in the Olympics in 1929. Right. And not just performance enhancing. We're going to talk about guys who were shooting up cocaine before races in the 1800s and shit. We'll go back to that. And then we'll go back to, just some old-timey drug stuff is very funny in the 30s and 40s. And it's because once after World War II, amphetamines came into it, and that changed the game too. We'll talk about all that. History of drugs in sports. Then for the Small Town Murder episode, which of course you get access to as well, we're going to talk about the downfall of two of the worst, nastiest serial killers we've had in this country.
How'd they get caught?
It's bad. The Hillside Stranglers and their downfall, and how one of them, being a complete moron, got them caught, and then his stupidity almost got the other one completely off the hook. It's a case of attempting to dismiss charges, hypnosis, multiple personality attempts, and all this. It's a crazy fucking story. You need to hear it. Patreon.com/crimeinsports. And Jimmie's going to mispronounce your name.
Oh, you bet.
Because you're a producer, which means you're a beloved part of this show. The only way we can show affection is to... We can't come over and have a drink with you. We'll mispronounce your name.
There you go.
That's what we do. And if you just want to get your name mispronounced and have great karma and earn our undying affection, you can do that over at PayPal using our email address, which is crimeinsports@gmail.com. That said, I need it, Jimmie. Yeah. It's been a long week. I need to hear the list of my favorite goddamn people on the face of the earth. Jimmie, hit me with them right now.
This week's executive producers are Katie Andrade, Terry Swartos, Joanne Ahern, Debbie Guffler, David Riggs, and Jordan Bennett. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You're incredible.
You're the best. We appreciate you so much.
You're everything. Other producers this week are James Gabauer? Oh, boy. Marcel Destin, Reverend Alden, and his pal Doc Baker, James.
A reverend and a doctor. Excellent.
I imagine those are MASH references, too.
Probably, but still.
James Martyr, Mary Stewart, Katie Miller's boyfriend Jacob Miller is having a birthday.
Oh, I think the way you said that, I thought you were going to say he's having a baby. I was like, wow, okay.
Her boyfriend.
Congratulations.
Katie Miller, Jacob Miller. Boyfriend.
Hey, Jacob Miller, happy birthday.
Do me a favor, Katie, and run 23andMe on that real quick.
Yeah, make sure you're not...
Before you guys marry or have children.
Just make sure. Just make sure, Millers.
Quick family trees.
Unmarried Millers. Let's just make sure. I realize the common name.
You get it, yeah. Very, very similar, but...
Still.
Yeah,
quickie
very
swab.
Very familiar, very common.
Swab it up.
Spit in a tube and mail it up. Bryn Sanders, Savannah McKinley, see you in Nashville. Jesse Pitts remodeled his new mortgage.
Ooh,
congratulations.
Congrats.
Clemens Claus? What? Clemens Claus? Jennifer Visconti.
Is that a product?
I think so. Visconti?
Baked
Jennifer
product?
Visconti.
Oh, thank you.
Mark Vincelette? What? Jude Kendall, Janice Hill, Jennifer Stevens, Jenny Scheib of Earl Fortune.
Obviously. That's why they're donating all that paint money.
Emma Coyle, Alexandria Kritkowitz. What? Alan Corey, Marissa Byrne, Brendan Abel, Sandra McGovern, Fetus Felcher. What?
Whoa.
Stephanie Hren, Christina West, Kim Hughes, Billy T, Mary Tanto Donati, E. Hart, Miranda Nelson, Marfrendo, Hunter Flood, Cecilia Brasha, Marissa Giampalo, Camilla, with no last name, Joanna Locatelli. What the fuck happened? Did you email a bunch of people at the Knights of Columbus and tell them
everybody? Everybody donate. We're gonna fuck Jimmie up. Hey, chicken parmesan for the whole room. Whoever makes a phone call.
11 names: Mark Pugel, Rick Grennan, Laura Shin, Renee Perry, Katie Digan, Bodie Marshall, Shelley 4647. Nope, 74. Jasmine. I can't even read numbers. What is happening? Jasmine Pokes, Speak Easy, Frank Ray Guevara, Yasmin Azuzina, Deonda, Nick Stremkowski, Eric Smith, David Jenner, Janet Hughes, Shantia, Myrix, Shaban Kalnan, whatever, Aaron.
Okay.
I'm really bad at reading. Allison Needbalski, Jesse Eric Ohl, Sam Fisher, Jessica Karaker, Lori Zaire, Jesse Masters, Ellie Ma, John Allen, Eric Palm, Natasha with no last name, Rocco Mediate? No. Joe Oliver. Mediate.
Hey.
There you go.
I don't have it in front of me, by the way.
Alex Massine, Sky Vasquez, Guinevere Spurdens, Sarge with no last name, Flacco, no last name, Chris Chiricos, Anna Hutchinson, Mark McAllister, VJ Ball, Rice Newhold, Skylar De Arastia. Sean Carey, Clinton Attaway, Tamara with no last name, Tamara, Brittany Rapp, Megan Andrews, Jessica Zopel, Travis Isley, Marissa Albanese, Daniel Cash, Steve Coffey, Kim Tolman, Wendy Montgomery, Genuflecti, Rigoletti, Pandino, Joey Hoffman, Leon Shorter III, Lindsay McFadden, Lori Lou Hu, Alan Donahue, Vonda Wagner, Sheila Atkins, Jasa, Hankey, Melissa Von Ruden, Danielle K, Jeffrey Zirkle, Celeste Warlick, Skip Bayless's hernia. Good for you, Skip. You deserve one. Adrian with no last name, Austin Van Dyke, Kristen Roundtree, Jana Baldassari, Lexi Albert, Amelie Baychamp, Deanna McCord, Nicholas Cabot, John Doe, Kelly Truby, Chris Downey, Christopher Heischer, Brandy Hannon, Jen with no last name, Steve with no last name, Kaylee Crawford, Nathan Talbot, Keith Reichel. I was doing great. Patrick Hensley, Kara Blevins, Alexis Price, John Pankava, Stacy No, Vicky Williams Harris, Trace Saxton, Jake Adam, Lydia Posey, Malin Wilson. Fuck, Jesus. Teresa Howren, John Paul Hayward, Jameson Braun, Michael Cherry, Stephanie Horton Carranza, Laura Clevenger, Georgia Johnson, James Bain, Sarah Foreman, Tanya Graham, Nathan with no last name, James Allen, RJL, Claire Toucher, Dadoni, Chris with no last name, Orlando with no last name, Jonathan McNaughty. Nope, that's Conate. What?
McNaughty? You need to call yourself Jonathan McNaughty from now on, by the way. That's your new name, dude. Sorry.
That's my new stage name. Corey Jones, Heather Hamilton, Khaki with no last name, Wade Paul Costa. Why did I even say that? Eric Soderstrom.
You can't read. That's why.
Jacob Reeves. I see letters and then my brain goes, this is what those mean. Natalie Searcy, Elena L. Church, Clint P., Jennifer Carpenter, Paul Landymore, Jordan Levitt, Brian Schultz, Katie Fellecker, Tracy, Corneoli, what? Rihanna Stuber, Michael Neusler, Polly Thorpe, John Kenny, James Hampton, Denise Branley, Johnny Robinson, Craig Baxa, Paul Jamie Lane, and Ivan Ventura, and obviously all of our patrons. You guys, you're terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, so much for all that you do for us. Honestly, we couldn't do it without you, so thank you. We appreciate it more than you could possibly know.
You're the component parts of this.
We'll break your ass down to the if someone broke us down to the component parts, you'd see, all of you. It'd be a list of people, and those are our component parts. So thank you so much for that. Jimmie, what if they wanted to get a hold of you and thank you? How could they possibly do it?
You can find me at Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks, on Twitter and Instagram.
Oh, boy.
Either one, your choice. What about you?
You can follow me at Jimmie P is Funny, or you can just Google us and find us. If you find the show, you can find us. It's pretty easy stuff. So you'll find us.
You're a detective.
Yeah, do it. Follow us, hang out with us, and keep coming back for more crazy shit.
Yeah.
We have a crazy story next week, we know. Mm-hmm. It's a crazy Dutch race car driver. So if we do a Dutch race car driver, you know the dude's story's fucking nuts. That's what it is. So that said, live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like Crime and Sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.